I'll go get this tournament thing started. I think I finally got all the technical issues worked out here, because yeah, it's been a day of fun technicalities. Let's put it that way. Every time I attempt to mess with something with this whole setup, just immediately breaks. By the way, everything looks slightly better now. It's a minor improvement, but it's there. So okay, so the way that we're going to be doing this, if you haven't seen the previous posts or videos or any of that kind of thing, this is essentially going to be a doubles elimination tournament of a bunch of RPG teams that were suggested. Now, I gave everybody the best, like just in general, the best kind of things I could think of. Like I tried to put in as many references as I could. I tried to put as many, just like as many advantages for each one as I could. Ultimately, I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of the ones with the bigger teams that makes it, but, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. This is mostly just for the sake of fun and just seeing what kind of stuff could be built within the mod, less so than actually saying, like, oh yeah, this team would totally beat this other team. Though I guess, realistically speaking, numbers would play a pretty big part in these types of situations. Now, originally, I was going to do the same thing as I did with, with the blenderizer. It's like have a little window open. There we go, it's that way. Kind of like up there. But it kind of got a little bit too cluttered, and it also was causing some issues, because then Chrome would suddenly decide that it was having issues, and then Windows problem reporting would kick in. It's like, hey, I'm here to report a problem by being the problem. So, those kinds of fun situations. So instead I just have it over this way, so let's just ignore that little thing. It's fine, I'll just let you know what it rolls. So we're going to be doing random, essentially random fights for each of these. I already rolled the first two. The way that this is going to go, if you've never seen a doubles elimination thing, it essentially just means that if somebody loses once, they're still in it. Like, there's still a chance to come back. And the way that it's going to go is we're going to go through each of them once, and then everybody that's made it will continue on and continue on and continue on through that winner's bracket up until we get to the point where we have a winner on the winner's side, and then that one's set aside, and then we go through all the ones on the loser's side, and then during that second round, anybody that loses is actually just fully eliminated. And then once we have a winner from the loser side, then the winner and the loser fight it out, and then that's kind of how we go about it here. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this going, because it's probably going to be a little bit. So, first things first, we have X Division versus Final Fantasy Tactics of all things. So, I'm going to have that one right here. So, X Div is one of the ones that I'm expecting to do really well in this one. As far as the references go, I'm just going to go over each of these teams once. So, as far as X Division goes, the first type of unit that they get for these first two here, for Big Bird and Dagar, they come in with their standard uniform and their helmet. They come in with a shield for bashing and stunning things, for the kind of like baton and shield kind of build that you tended to see a lot in the base game. So they run around stunning things, and then they've got an Emberwake there for the sake of its ability here, so Flare Spiral. So it's supposed to be like they're carrying around a Incendiary. So we'll kind of go ahead and count it for that. Then we've got the Pistol and Shield guys over here for breaching UFOs. They're given a Seal of Vigor, because you probably went for the ones with high HP on those. So we've got Kane Strider and Pork. Pork being Svendragon, I believe is how you pronounce that. But yeah, still sounds cool, by the way. But he said he was a Pork Boy or something like that, but for some reason I forgot the boy part when putting in the names. Doesn't matter. So, the rest are all burst fire, like riflemen and all that kind of thing with grenades as well. So, the ones with crossbows are there with Evil Dead, so those are supposed to be like the, the dark grenades. So, they've got kind of like a burst fire on the crossbows. They're pretty accurate. Over here, we've got the ones that are doing a little bit more damage here with Cloud Kill, so those are going to be the, which ones were those? I think those are supposed to be, the electric? Or no, the dark and poison ones. So these ones were the bio grenades. This is why it's X Division and Xenonauts, by the way. A lot of this is X Division stuff. And then we have the Hunter 001 here as a Wind Dragon, with a bunch of skills here that are roughly similar to what it usually does. It's usually like little Humvee that drives around, just like suppresses things and takes shots at things. So we've got Attack 2 to get its abilities faster. We've got Full Ward here because they're immune to debuffs. Can't exactly suppress a Humvee too good. Radiant Gale here for kind of like the spread fire kind of thing. Disembowel for the close range bursts that you do, and then it's just got a lobbing boulder for its long range attacks. So there we go. there's that one. And just due to the sheer number of big AoE moves in that team, that's why I'm pretty sure they're going to do all right. Ignore the ones here, by the way, that say Vita Cake on the team. Those are the ones I just saved wrong. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right, then we've got FFT here. Nope, don't start it just yet. They've got pretty similar scores. The scores are, I wouldn't say completely accurate, but they're an okay guideline to go by. I will say that monster units are rated way higher than they probably should be. But either way, that's because in base game they were nigh invincible against a lot of units. So over here we've got Ramza here with his double hammer build. This is just because I recently went through Cerebro and I absolutely loved that build. Ogre armor for some extra strength and all that. So he just runs around smacking things with hammers. Delita here with this kind of situation, specializing in sword and all that kind of thing. Specifically, he's going for the rank 8 move. So we're going to be running one cheat for the purpose of this thing. Let me make sure that's actually turned on now that I think about it. Let's turn them cheats on. Actually, yeah, that might definitely help, huh? Yeah, let's actually make sure that we can use the rules that we're going to be using. Let's make sure everything else is turned up first of all. Okay, we don't need infinite actions, though the AI, interestingly enough, does not know how to make use of that cheat. So we've got quick skill rank up. Did I have the... I think I might have had the other version of that as well. So quick skill rank up just basically makes everything go up at about a level per attack. So every time that they're successful in using any skill that they've got a rank in, this is why they came in at rank 1. So every time that they use it, they gain a rank. Like, think of it almost like a COD gun game kind of thing. Like, every time they do better, they get something better. So this means that for builds that are running like parry and overpower and all that kind of thing, early on, somebody will still be able to get hits in, and then by the end, they're just like parrying everything. So, you know, we should see those champion versus champion type fights. So yeah, augment light here, just to make sure that he uses his rank 8 move as quick or as often as possible. The Katana here because it reminded me of the Coral Sword that he comes with. So okay, let's go back to viewing the units here. Agri's here with the Stasis because, you know, it's a reference to her, so why not? She's got a few abilities to try and roughly simulate a few builds I've seen her use before. Same thing with Orlando here. He's a good physical hitter, but he's going to be using his finishers a whole lot. We've got Race here with her Dragon Breath moves, courtesy of those 2 unique Dragon Claws that you can't technically have. But whatever. So yeah, she's got most of her Dragon-y type stuff, as well as augments over here. Not to mention she can support Boko really well. We've got Rad here, another reference to the Cerebro mod with his kind of zombie tank build here, which was absolutely OP, and I loved it. Actually, funnily enough, it wasn't even that OP, because every time he went down, he had a 50% chance of just dying, but whatever. So yeah, he did finally come in as a zombie in this version. We got Olin the Astromancer, though I will say, he does have Galaxy Stop. The AI does not know how to use it. Unless there's some weird fluke that causes him to use it, I don't think he will. This is just due to the way that the skill was implemented. I don't think the game even had a script or trigger or whatever else for it to be used, because aside from somebody manually selecting it, the only time that this right here that it uses to target things ever came up was during the Gamp fight, and it was a specific story script that caused it to happen. All right, next up we got Weegraph with this kind of setup. He's got pretty basic equipment, but he's very heavy on the tankiness and evasion, so he's a pretty good survivor. We've got Beowulf here, coming in a little bit lighter, but pretty decent sword and board warlock type setup. Coming in with most of his abilities, or at least something similar to them. Basically, anytime that somebody had an ability, I tried to give them either that direct ability or something close. And then we've got Boko here, just because you gotta have Boko in there. I couldn't give him a cure move, so I just gave him Bloodbath. So he can kind of run up and attack something and heal himself. So alright, let's go ahead and get this thing going. So alright, now, the way that we're doing this, each different unit will have a different, or rather, each team will have a different map that's assigned to them. So, I'm just going to be, rolling the wheel twice. Whoever lands in whatever slot is how that ends up going. So I'm not going to pick specific maps or anything. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is automated. There we go. We'll turn off the skill rank notifications, turn on, or leave that on, probably turn weather off, and there we go. Proceed. Why is it not proceeding? There we go. There we go. Proceed to entertain us. Now, between these two, it can really go either way, because these are probably two of the strongest teams in the roster, I'd say. So we'll see how it goes. Basically, on the left here with the FFT team, they've got recovery on their side. They've got a few moves to do shutdowns and all that kind of thing. With the Xenonauts team, what makes it strong is mostly just the fact that they get access to stuns and a lot of big AoE moves. Their burst fires and all that kind of thing are definitely handy. Like, they do a pretty solid amount of damage, but they do tend to miss a good bit. I figured that part was pretty accurate. So yeah, I tried to rebuild everybody as close as I could. So, you know, no promises. Like, for example, if it was XDiv versus Super Mario RPG or whatnot, I guarantee you XDiv would win. It's just... it wouldn't even be fair. But... so there we go. Going for those dark grenades. Which, come to think of it, it's kind of weird that those affect Rad. But yeah, each of these they can only use once, because these were a bunch of rookies. They didn't have very much carry weight. Oh man, that unlucky 25% though. They've almost taken out Orlando. Yeah, no, there he goes. Alright, that's unlucky. That was a bunch of really, really low percent shots that managed to land. No! Okay, Olin's gone. He wasn't doing too much useful, so that's fine. Yes, yes, thank you, Mr. Beowulf. Like, I hope the FOT team wins, but it is what it is. Like, the XDiv one, I considered going back and nerfing them several times, because it's literally one of these cases where if they manage to nail all those 25% and 40% and all that kind of business, they do a crap load of damage, but it's their accuracy that's the problem. They only have one guaranteed hit each. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. You may notice I gave the Fire Crest to the Dragon there. It's mostly because the Dragon actually comes in with person stats, not Dragon stats, so I wanted to kind of fix that a little bit. It's mostly just due to the way that I was setting these teams up. So yeah, there's a couple cases where monster units were specifically given items to make up for the fact that I couldn't use the exact thing while also renaming them, at least not without tremendous effort. So yeah, it took enough time to put all these teams together. I wonder if anybody's going to be here today. I should probably check if the chat's actually active. That might be an idea. Oh, what's up? That's fine. You're okay. Here. Here you go. Okay. There we go. What is taking so long with this thing? There we go. Got to the dashboard dealy. And see if there's any chat going on. Just in case that's broken again, because I kid you not, I was talking about UI elements breaking earlier. Every single thing broke. Like, without question. Oh, there we go. They're making progress. Making that progress. Did I remember to turn all the cheats on? I think I did. Oh, hi there, Mr. Vale. How's it going? Yeah, it's not showing it? Okay, let's see here. Let's see if I can go ahead and fix it. I gotta fix it real good. Ignore the little chipping and chopping. It's gonna happen for just a sec while I mess with the settings here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I think, hopefully. Oh man, that's painfully slow. Come on. Come back to life. There we go. There we go. Let's see if that does it. Let's test it with a bridge. And there we go. It's back to life. Yeah, like I said, every single UI element broke. I thought I fixed the chat and all that. Like, every single thing broke. Every dang piece of it. There was just absolutely no mercy on the UI. So hi there, Mr. Vale, that's suddenly viewable again. Exactly, lives. Alright, so far it seems like we're roughly even here. Yeah, there's still some AoEs left in the Xenonauts team. I mean, as it's fitting, you know what? They should have some pretty high offense for being a modern army. Alright, that suddenly shifted a good bit. Yeah, it's going really strong in Xeno's favor right now. No, chill out with all those explosions. It's way too accurate. If you've never played Xenonauts or X Division, this is pretty accurate. It's just like, okay, there's a thing. Quick, chuck like 30 grenades at it. Like, break its armor, give it walking damage, give it a like suppress it, set it on fire, poison it, everything. Do all the stuff, and then if that doesn't work, just throw stun gas at it. Ah, man, that's the funny part about the like the base game of Xenonauts. It's like the entire mid game consists of like, well, if I could just go up and sneak up to this thing and chuck a stun grenade at it, it'll die immediately. It's like there's no reason to fight anything. It's just like, stun grenade. And they've passed out. Okay, cool. They're never getting back up. Let's move on to the next. And stun grenade. Okay, and we're done here. Something runs up. Stun baton. Because it's funny, because they wanted to do a whole thing of like, oh man, you gotta be close to use the batons, except they like insta-kill everything. And then XDiv comes along with a mod, and then he tried to do the same thing. They're like, hey, so, you remember how these did like 100 damage? They do like 10 now. I remember the first time I did that, and like I was trying to capture a thing that was already super weakened, and like had about 5 people just going all LAPD on this poor lizard man. It's like, oh, just beat it with these sticks. Just club it until it gives us information. It was pretty messed up. Like honestly, there's the running joke of like the entirety of the entirety of XCOM being like just a bunch of people doing war crimes against an alien species the entire time. But yeah. So you did a little Secret Mana remaster this weekend. Like it a little better than the original, but some of the charm is definitely lost in HD. I don't know. I will say something about SNES animations, like the little stitter and stutter, just kind of has that better feeling of like, you know, they really pushed the limits of this limited hardware of the time, and then you see the remake, it's like, yeah, they deliberately dumbed this down to try and copy the original. I think it's always going to be that little thing in the back of the head, you know? At least, I don't know, that's how I always felt about it. But yeah, looking between the two, definitely would have preferred SNES. Which I guess kind of sounds what's the term? It's like that whole thing for when you just like will only ever side with the old thing, which is not true. I don't always side with the old thing, but in that case, definitely so. Plus, it wasn't really necessarily high definition. It was like, I guess, lower, better cartoon definition, something like that. Kind of, sort of. Whatever you'd call it. There we go. That low accuracy's finally kicking in. So let's take a quick look at the score, see how the FFT team's holding up. So yeah, they've only got Rad, Weegraph, and Mustadio still left. These guys have... oh yeah, no, they're good. They're good. They've got plenty of dudes. They've got about 4 about to go down, including their dragon. But it's, well, I mean, I guess they're Humvee. Alright. Not like the voice acting, the delivery doesn't match how I wanted it in my head, that's a biggest minus. They either retranslate or actual plot points the original forgets, so the story makes a bit more sense. Yeah. I don't know, anything that doesn't explicitly zoom in on something's face doesn't need voice acting, in my opinion. Actually, now that you mention it, that's like a big down point to me for a lot of JRPGs and stuff like that, where they're like, here's this JPEG of a character, quick, we need voice acting for this. And then they just, you can tell that the entirety of the budget went into voice acting. It's like, no, this could have been so much better without that voice acting, and it always sounds really squeaky. Why is it always squeaky? So if you sleep in the inn, the characters talk before bed, which adds a lot of character development. Oh, well, that's cool. You know what? I like that. I really like that. Would have definitely helped out with the other games. Like, hey, do we want to recount the plot? Maybe, I don't know. Actually, you know, that's something that Phantasy Star 4 did that I really liked. So that one was over on the Genesis there. But like, it wasn't like a whenever you go to bed everybody has a chat thing. But there's just an option in the menu to just like chill out and have a talk about the current situation. So at any point you just basically hit the button on the menu and they're like, yeah, so I guess we're going over here. I guess we're doing this thing. I mean, it sucks that this character died. You know, it sucks that we're stuck on an alien planet or whatever. It's neat. It's neat. It's a nice little touch there. See, quality of life improvements, pronouns for the sprite. You can choose to hold 12 each item instead of 4. Apparently the second character doesn't get access to shortcuts, though, as I recall one review saying. So if you're playing solo, you can assign R and I to cast spells for a new character or switch weapons. If you're the first player, I think. I say, having not actually played that version, but heard somebody ranting at length about that particular thing. Alright, I'm gonna say the odds are very good for Xenonauts here. We'll see how they do. Like, I'm assuming they're definitely gonna be up there. Just because of all those big boom moves. And again, I felt like possibly removing some of them, but then when I tested it just didn't feel like it was X-Dave anymore. Let's see, that sounds about right. What's players do? Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, these guys, they don't get access to field alchemy, they just get access to basic items. So they're gonna run around, you know, they can heal minor wounds and all that, but they can't recover very much. So, alright, all Weegraf has to do is survive for a while. For some reason they don't want to attack him, and I couldn't tell you why. They're just running around recovering the entire time. Oh, by the way, a weird thing about the way that I did this, since I was basically converting people into dragons and such kind of thing, is they get access to items. They normally shouldn't. So, if you're wondering why that is, yeah, there you go. Oh, and whoever did the art direction had a crush on Gemma, the old Knight Mentor guy from the start. I can see that. I can see that. To be fair, he did seem like the very sultry sort that very impressionable people would follow. Just saying. Just saying. Hopefully that's not a spoiler that he's only at the start. I haven't gotten too far in that game. I think I've gotten just past the first few towns and then was stuck looking for what exactly triggers the event to go get the axe. Alright, so there we go. That's FFT with 1 loss. But that's fine. They're not out of it yet. Now, how do I... Let's see. It just occurred to me that I shut off all the options here for different stuff, so I may not actually have the means to adjust its color. That's fine. I'll figure that out in just a sec. Let's see what the next fight is. Alright, next is Grandia 2 versus Runescape, apparently. Alright, so first is Grandia 2. So this one I wasn't really familiar with, but I went by the wiki as much as I could. So here's kind of their general setups and all that kind of thing. Hopefully it's relatively accurate. Including this one, which I recall being like a robot arm thing with like a shock room attached. So, you know, went for a similar looking arm guard kind of thing. Alright, so... let's go over their skills real quick, or magic-y type stuff. Yeah, this one's got all the magic-y type stuff, this one's got some. She's got a heal, and then skill-wise, here's what we've got going on here. You might notice not everyone has weapon skills, that's intentional. I only want certain characters that are absolute specialists and or had shown some ability to use some kind of special abilities in order to be able to get those skills. So, alright, there we go, there's that one. And then there versus the Runescape team, specifically the one requested was the one that gets killed off in-game. So if you've never played it, spoilers, I guess. But yeah. These guys end up dying super hard, as in they're like an A-team that you assemble over the course of several plot lines. And this was like right when they changed ownership. So you get all these different dudes together and they're like, yeah, there's, you know, they're gonna be this unstoppable team or whatever, and they die in like 5 seconds. So yeah. Durdle, the claw guy from the jungle, Turiel, the guy that hangs out with a halberd over in Taverley. You got Hazelmere, the gnome. I mean, in this case, I made him a Lich because it was a little bit more fitting. Haralac, he's the fencer guy, is one of the few that actually survives, because he just runs away. You got Cericius, he's the guy that you literally just, like, bring back from nothing and, like, reassemble his entire ego and everything else, literally fight all the guy's dreams and everything else. Goes on all these crazy adventures and then comes back for one plotline and dies because his weapon explodes the second he touches the guy. Same thing happens to Sloan here, who's like the strongest guy in the game. You get Golmo, he's a random guard guy, and then Mikazna, I think he's like the attack guy, like the top attack guy. And then this one, you get a randomly generated name when you go join the Vikings. And so in this case, my character's name was Doctor, so I just gave him that one. But for the sake of that particular storyline, you're forced to wear it's kind of like mage getup in order to have it as a disguise. And they completely ignore the fact that you can bring a weapon with you. Because there's just like this random guy like, why is our random grunts running around with a friggin' god sword? So that's what I gave him. This thing is the closest thing to like the Sarah god sword, which, you know, that thing's pretty okay. So there we go. I figured everybody's got a teleportation ring, so I figured this was a pretty good overall representation of that one. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. It's probably, where is it here? So this one and this one. Alright, now, let me see here. Toolbars. Well, I don't need that. Sorry for the little chip and chop in here. So is formatting going to do it? Yes. Okay, sorry for the extra menu all of a sudden. Let's go ahead and move this slightly. Yeah, let's just... No, stop! No! I did it! I did the wrong thing. Hang on, I'll get to the chat in just a second. This is an annoying bug. This is an annoying bug that happens with the setup. Oh, come on, get up there! Stop fidgeting! Alright, there we go. Let's go up slightly. There we go. Perfect. Ish. Alright, I'm not seeing the option to change cell colors, so I'm just gonna turn that one slightly smaller. Nah, that doesn't do it. Alright, how do we do this? Let's say... Alright, why don't we take Xeno then, and make that one underlined to show that it won a fight. And for this one, we've got to... Where's the thing that lets me see the color of the box? This is what I get for messing with all these settings. Let's see, probably beaten SOM 5 or 6 times, and you know what? Still don't know what country he's supposed to be a knight of. He's from that one place that all Mentor knights are from. You know, he's from Mentorville, it's fine. It's fine, don't worry about it. Is it text formatting? Tools? Not tools. Definitely not tools. Okay, dang it. Why did I delete everything? Sorry. Sorry. Text formatting? Nope. Nope, that wasn't it. Maybe standard? Oh, that beautiful lag, though. Alright, if I expand this slightly, is it just... There it is, there it is. Okay, now... Oh. How do I get rid of that little box on the right, though? There we go, I found it. I found it! Alright, it's not ideal, but it'll work. So, I wanted it to be yellow. It was supposed to be yellow. Actually, if I expand this out, change this to yellow. No, that one's the one for borders. If I expand this out farther, change it to yellow. No, that one's supposed to be... Why you gotta be like this, Microsoft Excel? Why you gotta be like this? There we go. We'll just awkwardly slide that in and out as needed. Let's do it that way. It's fine. It's fine, it looks ugly, but we'll deal with it. Let's see, well, what? Let's see, oh, if you pre-ordered, you can dress up your party as Mughals or tigers? Weird, okay. Moogle suit looks like pajamas for that rolled out of bed with this rusty man sword and looking to save the world look. Alrighty then. Well, I mean, I'm not judging. They must have some reason for it. Hmm? Oh. There you go. All good? All good. Yeah, daughter wasn't feeling too good this morning, so we're hanging out in the living room. Watching some trolls and stuff. So if you happen to hear some random singing in the background, there you go. And I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised how good this thing is for noise cancellation. Like, it takes surprisingly loud noises to actually get through. And yeah, just like most of these AI fights, I have zero idea what's going on right now. It kind of looks like the Grandia team's winning, because that's definitely Fencer Guy and, what's his face, Hazelmere on the ground. Though I have to say, the AI commands, like the voice commands and stuff like that, like the little lines they're supposed to say and everything, they're not all triggering as they say they trigger. Like there's one that they're supposed to say when they die, so it's assigned to incapacitated. However, it seems more often than not it actually applies. I think it may actually change based on whether this is a challenging or whether it's a challenging or defending team, because, well, on several occasions now, I've seen where they've gotten knocked out and not said the line, but then they knock out somebody else and they'll say it. So I ended up changing a lot of them to only saying their lines at like 10% health or something. Hi there, Evan! Got distracted by work, I see the tourney has begun. Who are the teams? Well, those are the ones at the very top here that I keep accidentally, like, cutting off slightly. So those are all the teams up there. There's 25... No! Stop! Stop doing it! It decided to keep going. Sometimes it'll just keep going. Sorry. Like, if I press the key too many times, it'll just keep on going. Right now, this is Grandia 2 versus the Runescape, While Gothic Sleeps team. So, kind of hard to tell what's going on here. I think Grandia 2 is winning, though. By the looks of it, anyway. Let's go ahead and look at the score real quick. Yeah, most of these tend to kind of devolve into a mosh pit very quickly. So yeah, the RuneScape team, as is fitting for RuneScape, their accuracy sucks. Like, it's absolute trash for all except for, like, 2. Because Mikazna, he's pretty accurate because he's got a defender that he wields, and then... What's his face? I think it was, not Sloan. Who was it? I don't know. Whoever the hell was the attack guy. I think it was Mikazna. That's pretty accurate. Also, for some reason, I'm getting input lag. Who knows why? Alright. No wonder I don't recognize them. Yeah, honestly, for a few of the teams, I didn't even recognize... Or rather, I had never even played the game, so I did my best according to the wiki. Did FFT lose already? They fought against the Xenonauts team, and then Xeno team got really, really lucky with a bunch of 25% shots landing. It's like the entire team with the entire theme with Xenonauts is like they've got grenades for really good AoE damage and all that kind of thing, but they can only use them once, and their accuracy is pretty awful, though they hit pretty hard if they actually do hit. So they've lost one. This is a double elimination tournament, by the way, so they're not out. So they're going to be back. So you take over Kitten, we'll try to uphold your honor. And speaking of work, breakfast time to go back to work. Okay, well, you have an awesome one. Hope work's nice for you today. Hope it's all good and progressive and all that kind of thing. Let's see. You're in charge of that. Yep. So he'll take over for creating bird memes and all that kind of business. So it's always fun. And yeah, trying this new fancy camera setup, so it's slightly different and less blurry and that kind of thing. And it was surprisingly cheap too. It was on sale. So yeah. So you remember you saying double elimination? I like that denim palette. Yeah, that's the new Lord palette. That's when you turn a generic unit into a Lord, and it looks really, really nice. And like the one on the right there, the blue Swordmaster with the red sash. That's the one for the lady, as it were. So yeah, most of the unique classes, if you turn generics into them, they will have unique stuff. Like Hairlack there that just went away. He's got he is a ranger. I basically went for that because the actual character has a feather hat. So, you know, I figured a ranger with a black feather hat was the way to go with him. Alright, let's take a look at the score here. As per usual, it's kind of hard to tell. Runescape Team's currently winning it. Not by that much, though. Because, yeah, these two are about to go down. Sloan, Ciricius, and Turiel are holding up, as they should. Sloan's like basically the big strong guy. Ciricius is the guy who, the dream mentor guy, and then you've got Turiel, who's supposed to be like the friggin' halberd master. Man, it bummed me out that that guy died, because like polearms just suck in general in that game. They're just really, really, really bad. So anytime there was a character with a spear that actually managed to get anywhere in the story, I was like, yeah, they're surviving it, and then they go up and their friggin' halberd explodes. I'm like, man. It's literally, I think it's Ciricius and, so the whip guy and the halberd guy, and they run up and they're like the first ones in there, and they try to hit him and their weapons break. They just literally shatter against the guy. Like, they kind of, that particular guy was kind of just like a very standard demonic version of the Night King, more or less, where it's just like if weapons touched him, they exploded. And then he just gets randomly eaten by demons in the very follow-up story, which is really stupid. They set him up as this big bad guy that came out of nowhere, and then they're just like, nah, he's gone now. Don't worry about it. So a few characters, you may realize, actually have a bunch of really strong abilities that they don't get to use at the start of the fight. However, as it progresses, they're more and more likely to go and use them. That's why this took so long. I was trying to make sure that when it said certain abilities were available, when it said certain abilities needed a charge up, I wanted to make sure that they actually had to have that charge up. It's like that one, I believe they needed some kind of meter or something to be built up. So whatever, they got the ability eventually. Like I think, what's it? The Secret of Mana 2 team was very specific about that one too. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Man, they're actually doing real good over there. They're getting all those unlikely hits through. But this one's just about wrapped up. I'm gonna say it's probably going to the RuneScape team. Yeah, there we go. There we go with that whip. He's pretty accurate. He's over there training attack. Well, I mean, don't feel too down on yourself. To be fair, everyone does tend to get mobbed in this. Like the funny part that probably doesn't get considered as often when the teams were getting suggested and that kind of thing, was there was a lot of at least a good 4 or 5 folks that came by and like, you know, they've got these abilities to counter this thing, this ability to counter this thing. It's like, yeah, one character can have a ton of abilities. Like, that's all well and good. They still get one turn. They get one turn, they get one ability, then somebody else moves. So, odds are, you know, having more characters is usually going to be a little bit better, but we'll see. Yeah, no one's fault but my own. So yeah, it seems like even unique characters, by the way, they'll always use the default dying kind of quotes here. Which, by the way, it turns out Rakes can actually mess with text now. Actually, yeah, I sent you the screenshot about that. So since he can mess with text, I know he's mentioned in the past that he wanted to maybe make some of the dying texts a bit more, you know, they died, not like, oh, I need to quote some Shakespeare before I go, you know, kind of stuff. Like, quick, get me my pen and paper. I need to write a few, freaking write a few haikus on my way out. Yeah, the undead a-holes, exactly. Never have I seen so many dead a-holes in one place. What was it like? I gotta lay some divine smackdown on this for the queen. Something like that. It was pretty awesome. I was saying that he needed to write him like Alex Anderson or something in the like the Team 4-star version, like running around screaming about Protestants the entire time. Maybe just like force him to equip a couple swords. All right. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did this turn around? Yeah, Sloane's almost done. Turiel's stopped, and then Tio's still here. So you got to finish it, or it's over. Okay, 40%. Yeah, it was 40%. If they hadn't nailed that 40, that would have gone the other way. So yeah, there's one RuneScape then. Okay, so one down for Grandia. Pardon the little box popping out on the right there, by the way. For some reason, it doesn't let me adjust the color properly unless I pop the box out, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. All right, so let's see who we're doing next. Looks like it's Radiant Historia versus Avalon. Okay, that should be interesting. So you haven't seen Helsing Abridged yet? Just finished DBZ Abridged. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like, I will say, the first episode has one part that's a little cringe-worthy, depending, but man, that one is easily one of the best. And what did I say? Radiant Historia? Yeah, Radiant Historia versus versus Avalon. So yeah, Avalon was my entry into this. Alright, Radiant Historia. Alright, so these guys, since a lot of their moves weren't directly available, I tried to reference as much as I could. So we got Sword and Book for stock here. Figured the Warlock look was about the closest thing to his normal getup. Like, there was no red Warlock kind of setup that worked for him, at least not class-wise. Seal of Fortune, just to give him a ton of luck, and also because, dude, you gotta be pretty freaking lucky to just, you know, get sent on the secret mission thing, die, and then just turn out like, hey, no, you got sweet time travel powers instead of just clocking out. So it seemed pretty handy. So Flame Coat, because he's gotta have his Crimson Coat. He's got his book here with his teleport ability, and just a sword to give him some healing moves. So the Masamune actually gets used, or Masamune, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Gets used a couple times, just kind of as an extra heal ability for somebody. So he gets sword skills, because, you know, they do get weapon skills in that game. Mind Blast for pushing units. Anytime that there was a push type ability available to a character, I gave this team that ability, because a lot of the mechanics of that game involve pushing units around. So everyone's got bash and all that kind of thing, as high rank as they can get. So, equipment-wise, we've got something like this. Gafka, so he's kind of a punchy sort, so you've got this. Roche with his unique gauntlet and all that kind of thing. Figured Hellforge Mitts plus the Power Fist was a pretty good one. I would have wanted to give him a heavier spear, but I wanted him to have this Power Fist so he can just punch stuff and stun them. We got Acht here with the knives. Ruka here with a rifle. Marco with he has a grapple ability, so I give him the grapple bracer. But then sword and shield and armor otherwise, as well as the ability to, as well as item abilities. And then Rainy here with Cuchulain. There was something about the Baleful Mist ability that was similar to one of her abilities. I couldn't remember for sure. But she's got the ability to hit twice, which, according to the wiki, was there. Honestly, it's one of those things where I was a little bit rusty on my knowledge of this game. But anyway, so there's that team. There we go. And so the next one is Avalon. So funnily enough, Avalon is a game that only has one character, one playable character, but it's still technically an RPG, and he had helpers. So here's the thing. There's one really overpowered guy, and I just wanted to see how far he would get, because I was just thinking, like, what's a good excuse to have a really overpowered guy? And then just Mace came to mind, and I was like, yes! Gotta have Mace in there. And you know what? In fact, we're temporarily gonna mute this game, because I need to have that. I need to have the proper soundtrack playing in the background here. So let's go to the music real quick. Because I meant to have the right soundtracks for each of these playing in the background, but then that turned out to be a bit of a problem. So, what we're gonna do here, where is it? Is we're gonna get this fight started, and then the sound's gonna stop, and then we're gonna have the music going. So, I was mentioning that he had helpers. And still no idea why I'm getting input lag here. So, to explain his setup, he's using the full Ogre set to get a lot more attack power than a character normally would have. On top of that, he's got the Fire Crest because he's actually immune to debuffs in the story, or in the game. There really aren't any debuffs, aside from just like attack and lowering defense, which you can actually just get right back. He's got the Boreas because Bloodbath, it's basically attack and steal health. That's actually something you can do in game. It's actually an item that you use. He's got Parry because he evades a good bit. Overpower because that's like just like a run up and smack stuff is his entire thing. Counter hit. Berserk because he tends to fight a lot of stuff at once. Double attack it doesn't really do anything for him here. It's just kind of here. At one point he actually had 2 Boreases, but it wasn't as good as having the Ogre set. Bash just because I assume he hits stuff real hard. Steadfast because he never does get moved backwards. Tactician, just to get his skills up better. Max TP 4 for some reason. I don't remember why I had Max TP 4. And then Dark Magic, which I think at one point I meant to give him axe skills, but then it just wasn't really fitting because he doesn't really use skills. He literally just either hits stuff or uses items. So as far as his other characters, though, we've got the Snake, which I had to include the Snake. It's like the friggin'... Man, so many times I just fought right up to the Snake just to hear that sweet boss music. So we've got that. They're literally just a giant snake hanging out in a cave. We've got Cadman, the one that saves him, with Venom Ward because he actually saves him from being poisoned. We've got Krezenyurk. He's just kind of here, doing stuff. He's not gonna last very long. Like he's got a curse spear, but he's probably gonna attack once and then just die. And then a random chicken, just kind of for the hell of it. Because why not have a random chicken there? So. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this thing going. Now we will turn the sound off real quick, because we gotta have this sweet music. Man, I love this music. Love it so good. This might be way too loud, so hold on. Please don't be too loud. There we go. Hopefully it's not too loud. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's see. Was Avalon a DOS game? It absolutely was. And actually, the guy that made it is still around, and he's still even putting out remixes of this music and all that kind of thing. Like, this was hands down my favorite music as a kid. Like, like the funny part was, like, so I was growing up, right? And I was training in violin, training in opera. My mom was trying to basically turned me into a musician for money's sake. Apparently nobody told her that classical musicians don't really make very much. Then yeah, my brother was trying to teach me all about metal. He ultimately succeeded. By the way, that guy there, he's got a Yama just for the purpose of using it as a grenade. And he puts up barricades because he's good like that. He's the support. And so yeah, then I kept having all this music from games and everything, and that was the stuff that always just gave me big old brain happies at the time. It's like there was all the music from Avalon, there was all this stuff from FFT, and like just like all the FFT, FFTA, FFTA2, and all that, all the Pokemon games and all that, just like all this amazing MIDI music. Oh man, that thing just completely wiped those barricades off the map. Because them things hit real hard. Like, is the music coming through? Are you hearing how good this is? Like, for a friggin' DOS game and all that? Like, this guy was just really, really good at what he did. I say was. He's still doing it from what I can tell. Like, he's been putting out a bunch of, it's like Moon something? It was some MSX chip. But he's been, like, remaking a lot of music and everything. And there actually was a remake of Avalon planned a while ago, and I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I think he was remaking in RPG Maker or something, and then like a bunch of remixes of the music came up, but then it just kind of disappeared one day. I think he said his computer crashed, and then he still saved some of the progress, but then he wasn't able to save it all. I don't know. realistically here, looking at this team, I'm assuming that Radiant Historia is absolutely going to win this. Like, Avalon was put in this one largely because I wanted to see how far, like, a single character team could go. So he's about as strong as he can be for a single character. Like, axes are kind of as far as armor piercing and overall damage, like, they're some of the highest. As far as as far as armor and sets go, like, the Ogre set is just ridiculously up there as far as damage boosting goes and all that. So arguably he should be really, really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure he could one-on-one any other character in the tournament, but that's the thing. And if you're wondering why I made him so overpowered, it's because that's literally the point of the game. He's just some dude that's sitting around there. Like, right there, he does over 100 with a shield dash. Like, he's literally just a dude that's sitting around, you know, trying to get busy with his girlfriend for the most part. And the way that the story starts off is they're basically a bunch of hippies, more or less, that they get launched out of Earth. Like, Earth is completely screwed. They manage to leave because they think that there's a planet that's just like Earth. So they get there, and everything seems just fine. So they set up a little colony. They don't even bother putting up defenses or anything. It seems perfectly peaceful. And then one day they get raided like all hell, and for some reason they leave like 10 of them alive. So yeah, he's one of the ones that manages to fight everybody off. It's like him, Cadman, and I think like one other guy. But yeah, so they're all like commandos is what they're referred to as in game. So like it's funny because at the very intro of the game, you just see him like pulling the Rambo pose. He's got like a knife in one hand. He's got like a shotgun slung over his shoulder with like a metal vest and a headband. It's amazing. Like, that intro is still, regardless of everything, it's a tie between the Armored Core 3 intro and Avalon for my favorite thing of all time. Because the funniest thing is, all this other stuff is designed to look exactly like Rambo, and then he's got like the old 90s anime face. It's great. It's great. But yeah, he's running around stunning everything. Basically, damage plus stun is valued really highly by the AI, so unless something is stunned, he usually won't attack it first. So he like primes them with a stun, and then he goes for the axe. I love this music though. I love it so much. By the way, if you're ever curious to either check out any music or download it or even try the game, it's avalonrpg.net. He's kept it around this whole time. It lives. It exists. It's still there, and he actually has some of the music remixes on there and everything. And then if what's I don't remember. I think he has a link to his YouTube on there. It's your something. I can't remember off the top of my head. I actually plan to stream Avalon at some point because God, I love that game. It's funny because it's mechanically really simple, but it's just really good at what it does. Like, it sets the theme far better than it really should. Like, I think it was a one-guy project. And literally, the entirety of the combat is just like, you run around, you've got like you got the old system where everybody's just like, every monster's just a blob on the field. And then you run into them, then you just basically load up a random encounter. And yeah, they're all just wandering around. If you beat a thing, they're just gone until you leave the map. So you can't potentially clear out a map. But then yeah, like the monster designs are pretty interestingly created. Like it's weird to see a bionic half-man fighting next to a brontosaurus, granted, but still, it's very interesting. I don't think you ever fight more than 2 enemies at once. But yeah, you fight like droves and droves and droves. Just the music is really, really good. Music's really good, the map design's interesting, the character designs are interesting, the plot's basic, but it doesn't need to be anything more complex. It's just really, really good. Alright. Is he actually winning this? Is that a thing that's happening? Like, realistically, yeah, Mace has not been touched yet. Oh. The chicken went balk. Huh. Weird. Okay, I guess they say they're dying lions when they're already unconscious? What's that about? What's that all about, man? I don't know. It's weird. There's a bunch of weirdness when it comes to the scripts for when you tell them to do stuff. Stuff just doesn't always trigger when it says it will. The one downside of this is that there's one team getting a ton of actions, and then there's one guy that's not really getting too many whatsoever. So if the Avalon team were to win, it would take him a very long time. Plus side, we can always speed this up because the music's not currently on, so that's nice. We'll just go ahead and speed it up then. And there we go, he just took 300 from a trap. Wish he'd use his axe. He's got a very, very, very good axe. One of the best axes in the game. Wish he'd swing it. If you're wondering what this paranoia effect is, by the way, it's an ability that shuts off healing. Weirdly enough, there was a question as to whether or not the AI can even use it. They seem to be able to do it just fine. So I'm not sure why that worry was there. Yeah, this is the one time I'm going to speed it up, because just because it's going to take a pretty dang long time otherwise. And we've got 25 teams, so that's at least 50 battles. Nope, goodbye chicken. You are absolutely becoming dinner. And by the way, if you have a particular fight that you wanna see happen, let me know. Let me know. Requests are absolutely fair game. Like I said from the very beginning, it'll just be either whatever people request or whatever, just kind of whatever gets randomly rolled. So feel free to request whatever, anybody that's watching this. I am seeing a few bars going crazy down there at the bottom. Is it lagging by chance? Should probably check if it is. Oh crap, it is. Son of a dick burger, it's lagging. Alright, what if I shut you off? There we go. Let's try that. See if that helps out at all. See if we're doing anything better on the lag. Because I think it might just be OBS that's throwing a fit. Is this lagging? I don't know. You know what, in fact we should probably just put the music back, because that's probably why it's lagging. Okay, fine, we'll get rid of it, we'll put the music back. There we go. Hopefully the lag ends now, sorry about that. And it's still chipping and chopping now. Joy! Oh, the joy. Sorry everybody, sorry about that. That shouldn't be the case. But I guess it's deciding to be. Man, that sucks. Was joking with my wife earlier. It's like, I don't understand what's going on with my luck. I seem to just fast forward to heresy. Fair enough. You make a good point there, sir. You make a good point. But yeah, I'm not even surprised everything's breaking. Like, I was joking with my wife earlier that I don't know what's going on with my luck. Which, by the way, Mr. It's hard to read that blueness. Drenkos. Gotta say, you know what? You must be a sign of good luck here, because as soon as you came here, it suddenly started functioning better. Thank you. Thank you for fixing it. Gets all the credit. Alright, Cadman just went down. Yeah. No, the snake's not coming back. They're a one-time boss. They didn't actually come to think of it. I think they're the one boss that doesn't come back as a random enemy. Actually, you know what? That was actually one of my favorite moments in Avalon. Like, there's this moment that you get to the front of this castle, and it's got some amazing music, just like everything else. But so you get to the front of this castle, right? And just there's two guards that you fight at the very front there, and it's one hell of a boss fight. You know, it's the hardest thing you fought up to that point. So you get through the guards. It's like, okay, the door doesn't even open. Just like, no, you need something else to go open the door. So you go find, you sneak into the place, ultimately have to find another item to actually get through the door. And then you get through it, and then you get inside, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know what I was expecting. All these, like, crazy super bosses are now just random enemies. Because It's like, it makes sense. They were the guards. Of course, all the rest of the guards are going to be just as strong. Oh man, it like that moment, that like weird crappy pants moment, it was like, I don't know what I was expecting. It makes sense. It makes total sense. But alright. Yeah, this particular one, just because of his really low accuracy, was the only one I was considering doing fast forward for. Because I didn't want to give him the axe skill specifically, because then he probably could crush a lot of things. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a chance. If he'd use Bloodbath, I don't know why he's refusing to use it. But then again, he's also just kind of shield bashing everybody endlessly. There we go. But she's got gun skills, so there we go. That's a 1 down for Avalon. Alright. So 1 for Avalon. There we go. Alright, it occurs to me that I shut down the computer that was doing my rolling wheels. So, like I was saying earlier, if you have a request that you want to see happen, feel free to mention it right now, because we're about to load up another one. Any one of the above that hasn't fought yet is fair game. So far we've had FFT, Avalon, Grandia, what else is here? RuneScape, XDiv, and who's the other one? And Radiant Historia that have had fights. So I'm gonna go ahead and underline those, just to kind of show that they've fought already. Where is it? Where is the thingy? How am I being this blind? There we go. There we go. Found it. In fact, I'm gonna italicize them as well, just to kind of show that they've already gone. That's the sign that they're moving on to the next round. So, gonna give it like 10 seconds until I roll the wheel. Super Mario RPG. Okay. So do you want to have it fight a random team, or does anyone particularly want to have it fight? I'll just go ahead and explain these while that question's answered. So, as with all of them, tried to reference as many things as I could. So we've got the Cloud Shoes for jumping, even though he kind of levitates. We got the Flame Coat, because he loves his flame moves. We got a Hammer, because he's got to have a hammer. He doesn't have anything magic-wise, but he does have Mighty Strike, Squash, Steadfast, and Double Strike. So that feels about fitting. I think I meant to have Parry on him, but then forgot. Okay, for Mallow, we've got Counter Hit, and then we've got Chrono Scales for his lightning abilities, Masamune for a heal, these over here for another heal as well. So maybe make the winners green and keep people who haven't fought white. Why don't I make the winners gold? Then they stick out a little bit more. Here, let's do that. Let's expand this a little bit, take off their italices and their... Why on earth did that cause the box to disappear? Alright, whatever. Or, we'll just follow the old rule of making them purple. Nah, that doesn't look right. Right, so they're going to be gold. Alright, there we go. But yeah, so lightning and healing was Mallow's whole thing, plus decent armor, so we got that on there. Peach here, with just general luck and healing type of situation, along with her almost exact abilities from SMRPG. For Geno here, we got Word of Pain 4 and Abyss for two of his big moves there. Abyss being kind of the main. I think it was like Geno Blast or something like that for Abyss. I think it was Beam for WAP 4, and then his Umbra here for that whatever the hell that move was that did like 9,999. So he had Umbra for that. And on top of that, he's completely scaled for Dark, so he does a ton of damage if he gets a chance to attack. So he's automatically coming in at 3, so he can scale all the way up to rank 10 with his stuff here. And then he's given Warcraft, even though he technically can't use it just because it's an ability he gets in game. And then Bowser here, once again with almost the exact same kind of moves, that instead of Poison Breath, it's Withering. So there we go. All right. So since no challengers have been specifically mentioned, let's go ahead and roll one. So Grandia's already gone. Knight of Lodis. Okay then. Alright. So Knight of Lodis is one of those ones that's very heavy on the references. So yeah, we got a Ivana here with a Notos, as well as the ability to use all of the two-handed sword skills. She's the one who got the like the ultimate kill moves, basically. Like, I think by canon she should have been the one that got Atropos, so I think that's pretty similar with the way their skills are set up. She tends to use the right ones pretty often. We got Alphonse here with the Ambition. He's got the Power Fist because he's got his punching ability. He's got the Steady Shoes because I know I was in another piece of warp on him. The Fire Crest, just because, you know, I think most people had the Fire Crest on him. And then the Ogre Helm for, just because, again, I think most people put the, it was like the Demon Helm, I think it was. But yeah, no weapon skills, though. So he's definitely one of the stronger contenders, but he tends to spend most of the fight running up and punching things. He's got the Crest of Fire mostly because of Full Ward. At the time when I was making this team, I forgot that Full Ward was actually a skill. But it still feels appropriate for him. Bear in mind, again, the Crest of Fire, it's not necessarily as amazing as it was in base game. Like, it does give a crap ton in terms of stats, but bear in mind, he has no armor for that reason. So he's still very beatable if he gets unlucky. I've got Eleanor here with a short bow, tower shield, and leathers, as well as her standard necklace that she always has, the little coral thing. No skills there. We've got Richter here with a fancy fire sword and summons, as he usually does. Ariel, coming in as a lizard man with a snake tail. Don't question it. So yeah, she's all about lightning and spearing things. So there's that. Orson with his earth bow. We've got Shivan here with a one-handed fire katana, just because they're, well, I couldn't really give a ninja a two-handed one. Sybil with her wind stuff. Elric with his ice stuff. Euphry with her fire and the ability to charge up Elric. Licinia, who tends to survive, like, every time in testing, she was the only one that survived at the very end, despite the fact that her kit is almost entirely made of drops that she can potentially get over the course of the run. Like in the very first encounter, you can get an early ice chain, so I gave her this. She can come in with, I think it was a crown at one of them. I know she's got a fancy fancy amulet that she can drop. Again, looks like this. There's an ice shield that you can get with her if you last until the end of the game. She can drop a, well, it was a Cupid bow in this, but what was it called? The Crescente, which I think the Icarus bow looks very similar to. And then you got Lobelia. She technically should have a fencing sword, but I gave her the Longinus, kind of like the Longicolnus kind of thing. Tower Shield, just because, you know, it's the one that shows up in-game. And then Holy Stuff, because why not? Should give Orson the Donalto portrait because he's old? I can't do that. Basically, the means to do so would be way more difficult than they should be. Alright, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Realistically, I don't see the SMRPG team winning it, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we got SMRPG versus Knight of Lodis. Where is it? There we go. Let's keep those two highlighted just to show that those are the two fighting. Probably scale down the size of this slightly. There we go. Sorry about that bar sticking out. And it'll chip and chop for just a moment. Oh man, all that chipping and chopping. I'm so sorry. But it's so awkward to set up. There we go. Yeah, he's got moves. It seemed fitting. It seemed fitting. He's only got 2 uses of that, by the way. Then he's got to go back to his other power moves. But yeah, the portraits I can't really change for the most part without having specific codes, and then I'd have to go figure out what item slot they're in. Or not what item slot, what character slot they're in. Because basically every time that you get another character, they actually create a unique slot, which I guess doesn't update even if you remove one. And then any guest characters are kind of automatically forced into a particular slot. So for example, the slots 2 and 3 will always be the first versions of Casual and Vice that you get, whereas their other versions end up taking up different slots later, so that is a whole pain in the neck to actually figure out, because I think the only way you can actually figure it out is going down them manually. So yeah, that would have been it would have been a crap ton of effort, and then you'd basically finally find the right one, and then you force them to have a different portrait, and then something randomly breaks because the game didn't like it and all that kind of business, so, you know. Such is life. Such is life. So yeah. I'm gonna say like 80% odds to Knight of Lodis here, by the way. Seems very likely. Boom. So he's got one use of that. That's fine. One use is fine. See, I kind of... You know what they probably should have done with the Heavenly Generals and all that kind of thing? I have a feeling what they should have done, instead of hiding it, those guys in Palace of the Dead, it should... Like, they should have added another Coda chapter, like, where after you go back in time and you beat lands and everything, like, you get the Ambition, and then, like, the whole story that it gives you on the Ambition is, like, oh, it's, like, given by these, divine beings, when he really needed the thing. So, what you do is at that point you have him get confronted by all those Heaven Generals and everything. And they're like, yeah, you weren't the one that this was supposed to be given to. And so then that's actually what kicks off fighting all the generals. Because if you think about it, they're technically supposed to be guardian deities of a guy that's just trying to heal people, right? So in universe, in theory, instead of Buddha, I guess that would be Phila. It's kind of unclear, but whatever. Just point being, why is Denim hunting down random like Buddhist deities just kind of for the hell of it? It's like, I found this book, it made forks, and then I thought I'd just go and, you know, go on a bit of deicide, I don't know. See what happens. See what happens. It's like they had fancy weapons, I just thought I'd see what happens. He's like, turns into a mob guy by that point. He just wants to see what happens, and he goes and he rips some wings off an angel or something. Alright, so Chino's gone, that was their big powerhouse. Alright. Looks like Mallow's going in for some lightning moves. Which, by the way, I was actually incorrect last time. The lightning breath moves and all the other breath moves have a 40% chance for their effects. I think in base game it was like 25 or so. Either way, in the mod it's actually 40%. I thought it was guaranteed, but that's only the finishers. So there we go. I mean, they've got a chance. Don't get me wrong, they've got a chance. It would have been much higher with Geno there, just because he hits real hard. But let's take a look at the score real quick. Yeah, no. Mario and Geno are down. or not the FF, Knight of Lodis team is pretty much perfectly fine. Yeah, no, this is very one-sided. This is very one-sided. He hits like a truck, or all of them tend to hit like a truck, but they're just getting swamped, is the thing. Like, I think the most one-sided one in testing was Super Mario RPG versus X Division. Which in that case is like, okay, you got a modern army with rifles and a Humvee versus 5 cartoon characters. So there's that. Sorry. I gave them as many advantages as I could. It's like, any ability, I try to give them something better. But it wasn't quite enough, apparently. I probably should have made Mario like a lord and give him even more fire abilities. Because he had a good amount of them. Just when I was testing it early on, just Bowser and Geno ended up cleaning house so much of the time. But again, it's always going to come down to numbers, though. Like this team's one of the smallest unit counts. I probably should have given them maybe like 4 or 5 toads. Is I get a bunch of wardens with battle axes and just call them toads. Just pumpkin heads running around pretending to be mushrooms. I guess it's a possibility. But yeah, this probably won't be a super fair tournament, but on the plus side, it does at least explain some of the mechanics to people, so if if we do an actual, like, people-submitted tournament, like maybe limited by points or something like that. But if we have an actual people-submitted tournament, we can maybe get some interesting stuff out of that. Anyway, while this fight's wrapping up, I'm actually going to go do the rounds real quick, so give me just a moment, so I'll be right back. And don't worry, I won't leave it stuttering. There we go. Let's shut this off real quick. Go here. And I'll be right back. Alrighty, all good. Let us continue on then. Alright. I'm assuming this is pretty much gone about as one-sided as it did earlier, yeah? Oh no, she's bringing in the big moves. Come on, go for a 4-wipe. Ah, dang it, that's not nearly enough. She's actually got Heavenly Judge, too. I think she's potentially one of the hardest... I think like her and Geno are some of the hardest hitting characters. Like, for melee damage, Mace from the Avalon team hits the hardest. As far as casters go, I think Geno and Peach are the highest. Mario's pretty standard, Mallow's pretty standard, what's face? The other one I can't remember the name of. Yeah, Bowser, right. Bowser's pretty hard hitting. Like just like overall damage wise, he can be really up there. It just depends. But in this case, I'm pretty sure it just came down to numbers. Like as far as overall balance, I'd say Nidalos is pretty up there. It's just they're also very heavily stacked for references more than like overall power potential. Like even with Alphonse there being pretty dang strong, most of the rest of his team is pretty dang weak. Like they've got summons and things, but they're not necessarily fully stacked for them. Mario's upset that he couldn't defeat his enemies. He feels the shame. He's gonna feel so ashamed that he's gonna come back with all that Nintendo money. He's gonna sue them till they win. Yeah, that was about as expected. Okay, so it's a SMRPG with 1 loss. That's fine. They can still come back. And Knight of Lodis with 1 win. All right. Who do we want to see next? Like, one fight I really want to see whether, you know, whichever bracket it ends up being in. I really wanted to see, what's it, Knight of Lodis versus Phantasy Star 4. Because those are probably those two are very, very close to their original counterparts. Let's see, Breath of Fire 3 is also pretty close. Vandal Hearts is pretty close. I mean, XCOM is one of those really blink, you know, if you squint hard enough, you'll see it kind of situations. But we'll see. So, any requests, folks? Or are we just randoming the next two? Let's give it a couple seconds. Alright, so looks like we're doing random. So, March of the Black Queen versus Lord of the Rings. Okay. Let's do that thing. March of the Black Queen. Alright, so March of the Black Queen then. Everybody here has almost no actual skills unless their class specifically needed it. So they've usually got Bash rank 1, because they can crit and push them back. Pokemon versus RuneScape. Alright, RuneScape already had one round. So it has to be, so that would have to be in the next round. So, I mean, hell, you know what, screw it. We might as well, let's do that. Let's do Pokemon versus RuneScape, screw it. We're not being professional over here. Alright, so here's the Pokemon team here. We got Artillery, we got the Pidgeot, because, you know, Pidgeot totally evolved into a Griffin. I don't know what you're talking about. Turned into Pidgeot. Got Cubone over here, Dodrio, Charizard, Machoke, and then I just put question mark, the rival from Silver as their leader. Why not? So he's only got a Lobber. He can throw items at them, and he can support them with abilities. He's got increased abilities for each of these, so every time that he commands one of them, he'll get better at it. He's got Deflect, because, you know, if you try to throw a ball or something at one of them, he has to be able to deflect it. Tactician and Field Alchemy, because, of course, Empowered Dragon, Empowered Beast, Feral Remedy, and Catnip as the X items. Equipment-wise, these are mostly going to be pretty expected here. So Seal of Might for the Machoke, because he hits real hard. Warrior Band for the Charizard, because he can get past defense. Seal of Evasion for the Dodrio. Seal of Wards for the Cubone. Presumably he would still be weak to water types. Vigor for the Pidgeot, or Pidgequad. And then Artillery gets the Seal of Alacrity, because, man, that Smoke Shot, or that Merc Shot, or whatever the hell is friggin'... I think it's Ink Shot. Ink Shot friggin' never, ever hits. So yeah, Augment Water, Poison Rain, Maelstrom, Blue Spiral, Aqua Bubble. Like, I think they've all got at least 4 moves here, so... in some cases, they were just given alterations, or just different versions of the same thing. It's like Feather Step would be more of like a passive ability, while Hurricane, Sprogmos, Talon Dive, and Bloodbath would be their actual moves. So there we go. Everyone's got at least something. They've usually got most of their abilities. So we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, Blazing Resonance was taken away from Fire Dragons right before this, and I completely forgot about that, but that's fine. That's more of a team support ability. So let's do this thing. So we got that. Personally, I think the Beast team is probably going to win this one. So I hope so. I hope so. All right. So RuneScape. Now, by the way, ignore those points at the bottom, because again, beasts have like 2 to 3 times the amount of points that they probably should. So, whatever, that's fine. Now, if you're wondering how this happens, by the way, in terms of, you know, wins or losses or points or whatever else, basically all that would happen is just if RuneScape took a loss, they would go down to the yellow category. In fact, hell, we could probably just forget doing a secondary color for the winner and just leave them all open then. Might be simpler. And the whole teleporting thing for the gnome, he absolutely can teleport in-game, so that's fine. Oh yeah, I forgot! All beast units got pretty drastically improved evasion. These guys have almost no weapon skills. Ah, this should be great. Oh man, this should be great. Oh yeah, no, this is gonna be an absolute curb stomp. Where did I put those things? By the way, if you've never tried these, like chocolate-covered coffee beans, it's amazing. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Are what typically accurate? Like, the only downside of eating coffee beans is they really get in your teeth. But dang, they're good. Like, seriously, these are the closest thing that people have to senzu beans. They're just like little espresso beans covered in dark chocolate. Just bring it right back to life. It's great. But yeah, water's supposed to be typically pretty accurate outside of these. Because I mean, if you mean this team, with this team, they're deliberately really inaccurate. There we go. You heal your Pokermans. You heal them real good. See, the battle power is displayed as you set them up and teams up. Alright. So the way that I have the different abilities, so with weapon skills and stuff like that, if somebody has a weapon skill, while using that particular weapon, with every rank they are 5 to 10% more accurate and do 5 to 10% more damage. Every other rank, they get another ability, which they, then they can just use at their leisure. Once they have 100 TP, they can use any one of those abilities. The thing is, for a lot of these characters, they didn't display the ability to either be really accurate or whatever else. So, like let's say the standard, just like some guy got hired and given a weapon, and they're just like, okay, you're getting levied over to go fight in the front line now. In those kinds of cases, they were not given that ability. If, like for example, in their respective game or wherever they came from, they were explicitly shown to have some kind of supernatural ability with their weapon, then they were given that skill. So like the FFT team was shown to be very good at using a particular set of them, so specifically like the Divine ones. So the rank 8 move is a Divine scaling move that causes an enemy to stop, which is very similar to Stasis Blade, so I gave Augment Light plus one-handed swords to most of the characters that use those. On top of that, there's actually another one called Chrono Cross for the two-handers, which was given to Agrius. But yeah, if they're given that augment, they will pretty much always use that particular move, and yeah, they're very accurate when they use them. They just take a few turns to be able to use. What else? But yeah, the thing is, with the mod, and actually with the game balance as it was apparently originally intended, I should probably take a step back to explain it real quick. There's a minimum 25% accuracy to all melee type attacks, because the attacks last to go somewhere. So in this case, even when a character is just completely unskilled or whatever else, they can still get through. And in some cases, like for example, Raid over on the OB64 team, like he'll get through just on sheer number of attacks. That guy is relatively quick and just keeps using double strike the entire time. He's just like going axe crazy on everybody. And yeah, he has no weapon skill. He's never shown to use any. Like the only moves that he gets are the Pendras, which he has. I believe he actually has one AoE move, and/or somebody else might have it. But he himself is not shown to have like any kind of super abilities with it, where somebody like Delita is constantly shown using them all the dang time. So yeah, it just depended on the situation as far as who got those. Because like in the original game they wouldn't have stood any chance, and the mod, somebody unskilled can still beat somebody that's skilled under the right circumstances. So it's just more interesting to start everybody off at rank 1 and have them consistently like rank up and rank up and rank up and just get better and better, and then you finally have the last champions of that team at the very end. Oh man, I'm loving how well this Pokemon team's working together though. So, current score check. Completely wiped. Hi there, Mr. Pan. You are currently watching the Pokemon team beat the crap out of the Runescape team. How's it going? How's it going over there? Can't actually tell what that is. That just... Are those s'mores? Kinda looks like s'mores. I'm gonna assume those are s'mores. They're very tiny and I can't tell what they are. How's it going, kiddo? Oh, okay. I fix it. There you go. What do you say? You're welcome. Alright, so I think it's safe to say the Pokemon team's pretty good. They're doing okay. They're doing alright. I think we can go ahead and take that that winning mark away from the RuneScape team now. There we go. You get your nice yellow mark now. But yeah, so Mr. Pan, anyone you want to see fight in this team above? Yeah, well, you know, we'll just go ahead and take this off right here. Turn these all back to green, since we're apparently changing how we're doing the rules on that. There we go. I guess they're kind of like a darkish green now, whatever. There we go. Whatever, they're slightly darker green. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Hi there, Tanaka. So I like the Pokemon setup in Rakes' mod. It's a great way to do the story without worrying too much about gear and such. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like, he was actually suggesting to do this as a run a little bit ago. But actually, I actually really want to try. That it's just you only use a Beastmaster, and then you can use six characters or 6 beasts. And I think this team right here would do a pretty solid job. They seem to have done the job real good. Yeah, there we go. So, in this case, numbers didn't matter because they were just better. Alright, so, it's the RuneScape team with 1 loss under their belt. So, do we have any requests? So, everything is fair game. Everything that, or rather, let's just say everything with green is fair game, right? Let's do that. So, if it's green, go for it. Oh wait, that's still not the right color. Is it this green? Right here? That's the right one. Okay. So, alright. Feel free to suggest a way. Yeah, just whoever versus whatever. I actually have to go check on one thing real quick, so I will be right back. Wait just a moment, and yeah, be right back. Hello again. Sorry, I know I left it on the stutter box again. Alright, Battle of the Fours. Which four are we talking about here? Oh, those fours! Okay, yeah. Phantasy Star 4 versus FF4? I believe we can do that kind of business. Alright, I'm gonna roll this until I see which one of those comes first. Let's see. Come on. I know you're gonna roll one of these times. Huh. I don't think it was FF4 even on this. Interesting. Interesting. I just noticed I missed those two on this somehow. There we go. Whoa, oh no, oh no. Hang on. Drop the dang controller. Alright, we gotta restart real quick because I dropped the controller and it exploded. As it does, So yeah, we'll do Phantasy Star 4 versus, versus FF4 then. And yes, hello there, Mr. Cramhole. How's it going? Haven't seen you in ages. Wait, it's still fast forwarding. Why is it doing that? No, bad emulator. Try again. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why it does that. It's just some weirdness. Alright, so we'll get this little annoying text box out of the way. Sorry about that. There's no better way I could find to do that. Because for some reason, you're normally supposed to be able to select a window, like just select this little area. For some reason, it just didn't want to work right, so I'm doing it kind of ghetto style on that one. That's my bad. My bad and the computer's bad. Let's readjust the volume, make sure that's all working right. And yeah. So far, so alright. We had a few fights already go by, and yeah, now we're doing the Battle of the Fours. So yeah, Phantasy Star 4 came off first, so there we go. So yeah, good. Just found a place to rent, so moving stuff slowly. Well, sounds like a good time. Hang on, what did I just select here? I mean, hopefully not being too stressful over there. Alright, so this team is one of the ones that made the transition the best, I feel, because almost all of their abilities were actually already in the game. Not to mention almost all their skill set, or all their equipment sets actually worked out with the class. So we got Grizz here as a Juggernaut for that extra vitality. He's got a heavy axe here, because, you know, you had to have an axe from the heavens. He's in the Phantasy Star games. Standard Balder Helm, Legion Arm for some extra strength, Seal of Might for some extra strength, no magic. Skill-wise, we've got axes, because he's shown to have some axe skills, but other than that, he's only got the ability to really just buff. So yeah, he's in-game, his only thing is just hit real hard with an axe and do more like axe-related things. Alright, next we got Chaz with his laser sword, because I thought that was the most fitting. I was going back and forth between using this and the Brynhilder, but ultimately ended up going for this just because that whole double attack thing kind of looks like his cross slash, which is very situational as it is in game. He's got some draconic abilities, he's got some divine abilities, so Judgment 4, Heavenly Judge, Cleanse, Heal, Terror Break, Teleport, Warcraft, Aura Blast. Just like basically all this stuff is stuff you can do in that one too. Alice coming in with the Vulcanheim. She's not terribly accurate, but she does a pretty good amount of damage for anybody that isn't looking directly at her. Really strong, has some group stun abilities, because I believe she was the only one that could do the big old AoE kill move. So AoE stun's going to have to count for that. Rune over here as the big caster guy. In testing, he never really got a chance to show off very much, because they usually tended to go for the squishiest one first. But he's squishy, that's what he does. Han here, he's the one deviation on the actual build, because I went for a stab, like the only one of the claws that actually has a stab attack to it. Because he typically uses dagger and shield as his most optimal setup. But yeah, so we went for a stabby claw instead. You know, same difference. But still, he's like the generalized healing guy. Surprisingly, he does not really have a lot of the healing abilities you'd think he would. Like he's the single target healer guy. He doesn't get the AoE stuff because Rika gets that stuff. interestingly enough. So we get Demi here with Rifle and Healing. We get Rika here with Claws and Healing and some buffs. Get Ren with just basically straight up rifle damage for the most part. Raja here as another healer. Yeah, this is why I was saying this team's going to be up there, because they've got so many healers. And then Kira coming in with sidearms as well, but I didn't want to give her the Vulcanheim because I wanted somebody to have Laser Shield, which is exactly what the Wildfire looks like. So alright, let's go ahead and get that going. So then the next one is FF4, which was an interesting one to make, I gotta say, because so many of the mechanics weren't in the game, but we'll see. So you gotta get unpacked so I can update one vision and play some more. I want to try the new classes. How's life? Life is about as usual. I mean, this setup has gotten a lot fancier, I will say. It's gotten a lot more cozy. You know, financially terrifying as always, but hey, that's just life. That's called it being an adult. Where you look at your bank and it's like, yeah, I can maybe pay 1 out of 5 bills. And, yeah, this is going great. Oh, one moment. Let me check what that's about. I'm back, and sorry about leaving it on the soda screen again. Alright, so, FF4 team here. So, it was a little bit rustier in this one, but I think we got it all in there. So, for Terra, hiring fire abilities, healing abilities, holy abilities, and all that kind of thing. Got swords, dynamo plate, crown, all that kind of business. I tried to go for whatever builds were specifically recommended as being more on the optimal side. I think the Caliburn is pretty close to Excalibur. Something like that. Like, I think it's directly supposed to be the same thing. Alright, for Locke, kind of an evasive slash defensive rogue set for him. It's kind of mixed all over the place. He has the steal ability, not that it'll really help in this fight. For Edgar here, he didn't really use any skills. He's got a crossbow, he's got a spear, he's got ogre armor to get rid of healing. He's got this for area stun and all that kind of business. Like, it's a weird build, but it seems to work better than you'd think. For Sabin here, double punching, Heaven's Tear for his big boom kind of thing, got some healing from these tidal waders, going for a double attack, siege, berserk, last resort, all that kind of stuff, so you can just boost his attack a good bit. For Gao here, I actually didn't remember Gao whatsoever, but they've just basically got kind of like a berserk, punchy kind of thing, so they just get better and better, so I gave momentum from these shadow tramplers here, just to make them run up and punch real good. For Cyan here, he's got a casting move off his sword. He's got a bunch of extra sword skills. I believe he's the only one on the team with an actual weapon skill, so he's got all that kind of business. For Celeste, she's got a good bit of the draconic stuff. And there we go. Sword and shield. Seemed like a pretty okay setup. Shadow with the Vulcanheim for his throwing abilities. So he's basically going to be getting abilities off of sidearms. So I guess 2 with weapon skills. So he'll get better as time goes on. He's a little bit weak at the start. Now Setzer, he's a... or wait, which one am I thinking of? But, yeah, so Setzer is the gambler guy, right? So this one was weird to set up because his original setup was just he rolls dice and then that decides what he does. So in this case, he got a Seal of Fortune, he got a Dark Robes, and he's got a bunch of really powerful moves, but it takes him a weird amount of time to actually charge them all up. But whichever one he decides to move, he'll get better at using over and over and over. So it takes him a while to charge. That's all the time he's getting bad rolls. But once he gets there, he's going to be a real powerhouse. So he's probably going to sit there trying to, MP boost himself. We've got Mog here with Arts of War, Staff, and all that kind of business. Lingering Dance, Circle, Life, all that kind of stuff. For Strago here, just kind of robes and all that kind of stuff. All these kinds of abilities, that kind of stuff. These guys, like some of these optional characters, I just didn't exactly remember how they worked, so I just followed the wiki as best I could. Fair disclaimer. So they've got more. They've got 2 more characters than the Phantasy Star 4 team. So place your bets now as far as who's getting where. Let's see. Playing this on a tablet, but the mod is way behind, maybe 5 patches or more. So I have, just so you know, I have version 93A. The 93 Alpha rather. It's more like 93C Alpha, something like that. Because 93 isn't officially out yet, but interesting thing on that. Because even though it's not out, which, by the way, that flight ability, I believe, is also something she could do in-game. Even though it's not officially out, there's only one, kind of iffy bug that actually happens with that version, so he's currently working on fixing that, of all things. But for the most part, it's got all the features of the newest patch that, before it's even out yet. I have that posted right next to the official version over in the guide if you still have the link. It's !guide if you don't. But yeah, basically adds the new classes, adds Sarah as a rogue in Chapter 1, as well as the ability to steal Necromancer marks from Nibeth in order to be able to get a Necromancer for Chapter 1. He's only got 1 that you can steal. That is basically just how steal tables work. At least I think you can only steal 1. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. All of the equipment setups for Chapter 1 got redone to be more like the SNES version, so you see a lot more like short bow and sword, which is far more viable in the mod. I think short bows actually got boosted since 5 versions ago. I'm not 100% certain on that, but yeah, either way, sword and short bow is still viable up to endgame. Like I recently did the luck percent run, which was just using luck builds, and one of those was one-handed katanas and short bows, and they still held up perfectly fine up until endgame. Granted, all the ninjas ended up getting wiped because we went down to literally the last character who died, killing off the last boss with a reflect, but hey, such is life. Such is life. Okay. So my money here, it's hard to say. I'm kind of rooting for the Phantasy Star 4 team because, I know this might be blasphemy, but between the two, I just really love Phantasy Star. The series as a whole never gripped me that much, but 4 just, blew my mind when I played it. It's everything about the presentation, to the music, even when you just started up, that first music there is just that whole it's so good. It's such a strong intro. Let's see. We'll make grinding those classes nice. Yeah, he's still working on the experience thing, by the way. I don't know what parts are still missing for that, but apparently he's trying to make it so that you don't really have to grind anymore, because it's kind of the big iffy kind of right now. Even though it's less so than before, but apparently the formula for class experience and all that kind of thing is what's one of the things that's being worked on. Let's see. The one with more healers. See, not even necessarily though, because in many of these cases, it's just having an extra attacker is oftentimes more valuable, even with the big buff that healers got. It all just depends on whether or not they can effectively heal. You have to realize, as far as healers on the Phantasy Star team go, 2 of them are only single target, 2 of them are only AoE. So either way, 2 of them are going to be really good if there's only 1 guy getting hit, 2 of them are only going to be good if there's multiples being hit, and those characters also double as being some of the strongest attackers on the team, so that's kind of how they had originally balanced it in the other game, because you can choose your endgame party apparently. I actually never even got to that point, but I did manage to save my Phantasy Star 4 save. I don't know if anybody who was ever watching that original run even is still around at this point, but I did manage to save that original. So yeah, there's that. realistically, between the two of them, I'd say the FF team has a lot more offense. Like, especially, as you saw there with Terra. but who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Well, again, we'll see how this goes. Don't have popcorn, but I do have the real-life equivalent of sensu beans or whatever. That amazing crunch. I love these things. Oh no. Alright, let's look at the score. Alright, so... yeah, Phantasy Star has 2 down at the moment. So they've already lost 2 of their healers. Yeah. So that's the thing, the FF team has a lot more, like, big boom type of moves. Whereas the Phantasy Star team relies a lot more on buffs and recovery. Like, if you've ever played it, so much of it is just, like, hanging on for the fight rather than trying to throw as much damage as you can out there. Like, in one of the bosses, I remember, like, if you didn't kill off one of them, which I lucked out on the Iron Man run, because I managed to just... I think I was just going and just throwing as much damage on whatever was the first thing that came up targeting-wise. So, I was throwing it all out there, and then I find out after the fact that, like, yeah, if you didn't kill that one guy off first, or at least one of them, they all would have teamed up for some big old super move. Because I almost get squad wiped by the weaker version of that or something like that. It's been, like, a year. I don't remember for sure. What you got there? It's time to perform our biannual apartment inspections. Okay, well, it's already done. We can just check. Hey, can we leave those alone, please? I know, paper's important. What do we got here? Alright, looks like the cleaning list. Once everything is done and to my liking, I don't care what anyone does till then. Okay. Yeah, we already took care of this. Alright, anyway, moving on here. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that the FF team's got this one. They got that nice early advantage from that gigantic boom. Like, I think Terra did this one, because yeah, Grizz is one of their heaviest hitters, is currently petrified. She's over there just aura blasting everybody. And getting higher and higher ranks every time she does it. So that's why I have it set up this way. Because you get to see all of this really cool stuff. Yeah, there with that Gift of Renewal. I love Gift of Renewal. It used to suck so bad in original. Like, in vanilla, you went through all that effort to get that ability, right? You had to go through the Palace of the Dead, you had to spend resources even to use it. They're like, yay, you get regen on one character. And it's a sucky regen that only does, like, 10 health, whereas everybody has, like, 300 to 400 by that point. So it's recovering, like, maybe 10 health every third of a turn or so. So yeah, if somebody was poisoned, like, it would almost cancel out the poison is the sad part. Like, I think it's double as effective, plus it gives you a small upfront heal, plus it's AoE. And that's what it needed to be competitive. And this is coming from somebody that tried really, really hard to use it in vanilla, because they just love regen moves. I could never justify it, because for some reason, on top of everything else, it was even slow to use. It's like, what have you got against Draconic, man? There's no reason to use it for anything other than attack moves. Like, I love the best thing that I think Detect Traps took like 4 gems out of your 99. Because you could only ever have 99 at one point, and you have to go back to the shop to go pick up more. So, like, if you ever get stuck in a gauntlet or something like that, like you're going through San Bronze or whatever, and you get halfway through and you're completely spent. It's like, yeah, this is a useful skill tree right here. I'm sure glad I invested in this. And then, like, half the skills are hidden away in stuff that you can't even really get a hold of. It's like, it's funny because I think Springboard and Teleport were even in the same fight, and it was like just 2 random angels in San Bronze. And I think they had like 15% chance or something to drop them. It's like, why would you ever get Springboard if you can just get Teleport? It's like, you have the option to move somebody a couple tiles over, or you can just teleport them anywhere. It's like, one of these is clearly better than the other. Why would I even want it? I love it. It's why I always say I would have loved to sit in on their design meetings, because there's just so much stuff like that. It's like, what happened? It was clearly nerfed because it was too good at some point. There's no other explanation. Although, I have to say, Rune actually stood up for a little bit here. He's usually the first one to go down. Yeah, they're getting stomped real hard. Alright, let's go check the score. Is anyone even left on the Phantasy Star team? Like, I see Terra's down. Alright, they've still got Chaz, they've still got Alice, so got the A-team. Got Han with his healing, we got Ren with his guns, Raja and Kira. I mean, they've got a chance. Terra's down here, the rest of these guys are holding up real well, though. Setzer... yeah, they're I'm sure they're winning it. I'm sure. So yeah, whatever fights you guys want to see, just feel free to paste away. As long as they don't have... as long as their name isn't yellow, because we're only just going to do... everyone fights until the winner circle is done, and then we're gonna go for the yellows after that. So yeah. If you want to see a team eliminated, like if you want to see everybody fighting X-Div to get them out of the way or something, or, you know, who knows what else, just feel free to paste away. Yeah, it's all fair game. We're doing this all chaotic-like. Doing it all chaotic. You know, we're doing it Mortal Kombat style, just whatever people want to see. If they want to see one character fighting everybody else in the tournament. Or one team fighting everybody else. Just the judges are sitting there like, no, screw those guys, they gotta go. If not... let's see, what was the next one? I think it was, who was it? I know it was March of the Black Queen versus Lord of the... yeah, March of the Black Queen versus Lord of the Ring. That's what the next random one is, if nobody's got a request. Alright. Oh no. They're going for the mass stun. Don't mass stun. Yeah, no, they're having a bad time. Every one of those landed and everything. Oh no. To be fair, their evasion isn't terribly high because Phantasy Star evasions are just pretty low in general. Alright, there goes Alice. Han got punched off the cliff, okay. This is a pretty brutal turn for them. See, grinding before I hit the Hang Gardens. Is that on your, is that the same run that you were doing earlier? Is that just kind of like abruptly ended one day and then I saw there was a bunch of COD coming out? So I didn't know what happened there. But yeah, with Hanging Gardens, as long as you're like in the 30 range, give or take, you should be all right at this point. Like the angels get a bit difficult, but you know, just get bridle on some ninjas. Like ninjas with short bows with bridle are like the universal screw you to anything that casts. Because like it's funny, they don't really do damage, but they can shut down so effectively that it doesn't even matter. Just ends up working out real good. And that actually applies in both versions, by the way. Like, the base game version is admittedly ridiculously overpowered. Yeah. See, it's on tablet. That file is still at the same point. Gotcha. Gotcha! But yeah, by the way, a few of the portraits have changed, just so you know. He's been changing them based off whatever feedback people were given. He said he's gonna put out a poll later as far as what's actually staying and what's actually going. Since there were a few calls from people to try and make it a bit more vanilla-friendly, as it were. So, like, for example, Donalto got changed to his alternate red sprite as opposed to his default blue, or the weirdly unique Black Swordmaster one that he was going with for a while. Apparently the portrait was actually one that belongs to Vice's dad in one of the Coda chapters. Never even paid attention to that up till then. So you're still questioning why FF6 characters are there? Wait a minute. Weren't FF3 and FF6 the same deal? Like, as far as one was one in one place and another in another? Because I think that's what it was. Like, it was... Yeah, because I think we got it as 3, and then it was originally 6, and then it got re-released as 6. Something like that. Because the request, as I recall correctly, was... was due that one Final Fantasy with the king with a chainsaw, which was this one. Actually, no, I think it was like 4 for us, and then it was 6 originally, and then it got re-released as 6 on the GBA or something. I don't remember for sure. So you go and finish and do some challenge runs. No idea which ones, but something. Let's see, FF3 is FF6. Oh. Well, hell if I know. I just got it completely wrong. We'll just change it to FF question mark question mark. How does that sound? FF something or other. FF2 equals FF4. Well, how about FF Chainsaw Edition? There we go. It's FFCS. Close enough. Sorry. I might have gotten it completely wrong. It's been a while. I remember the Chainsaw King. I remember the suplexing the train, and then I think like literally the entire character list just came from the wiki, so I guess I can partially blame them. This is like one of those like I remember vaguely. I vaguely remember playing that one. Actually, now that I think about it, I remember FF3. That's the one with the Dark Knight guy as the main character, where you start off with that like mage genocide, or at least what's assumed to be that. And actually, no, that one's hilarious because I remember you come back from all that. He's like, yeah, so why exactly were we sent in to go fight a bunch of unarmed people that weren't even fighting back? We're like, oh, how dare you question your orders, and then it like goes back and talks to his brother or something. It's like, oh, don't worry, he's just in a mood. You know, sometimes you're in a mood for genocide, I guess. Alright, next fight request. Vandal Hearts versus Breath of Fire 3. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you got it. Ooh, that lag, though. Yeah, Kane. I think that's the guy. I remember looking at it and really enjoying the fact that there was a main character that actually wore a helmet. I always appreciate when characters wear helmets. It's like, you know what? That's nice of you to have a face and all, but seriously, put on your friggin' helmet. You're in a war. By the way, this is one of the few cases you'll actually see dances get used in this. Genocide equals hilarious, boy mine uncalibrated. I mean, you never know. Somebody's just in that mood. Now, I'm just saying, like, his brother's defense of the king guy is just, yeah, don't worry about it. He's being, he's having a bad day or something. Don't question it. It's fine. Yeah, one of them. They've all got fancy names. Like, I think one of my favorite things was when going through, like, I think it was a FF4 or 6 or whatever else in this. The one with Shadow in it. Like, just the art. The original art looks so crazy flamboyant. Like, especially looking at Shadow. Like, in game, he's just, like, ninja guy, and then you look at the art, and he's got all these little frills and scarves and crap all over the place. XCOM versus Dragons? Do you mean... Is that the versus Pokemon, or is there different dragons? Or do you mean Game of Thrones? I don't have very high expectations of the Game of Thrones team, but I thought they were pretty accurate. Alright, so who the hell just won that? I think it was the FF team that won it. Because yeah, they were the second team. So there we go. Phantasy Star, you get your yellow box, your yellow I tried box. Go into the losers bracket. Okay, so what do we have here? Vandal Hearts versus Breath of Fire 3. Okay, let's do this crap. I love how we actually haven't had any repeats yet, except for RuneScape, which got their win taken away. All right, so for all the weapon choices of the warrior units, I went for the ones that it looked like they were using in game. So like Grog had a really wide-looking sword. He had a shield, but the Barbarossa looked really similar to his weapon. For Ash, he had that kind of roundish shield towards the end. Had the katana there. He had, well, he had some stuff here. I think ultimately I didn't end up giving him healing abilities because it apparently was, I forget why. I forget what happened there. Clint looked like he was using a stabby sword. Dolan looked like he was using a pretty regular one, and with a tower shield. Zohar, the overpowered mage. Diego, which all of these guys are using the railbows, because actually the railbows, I believe, are meant to be a reference to Vandal Hearts, because they function very similarly, where they'll go over some obstacles, but they fire really far in only a straight line. So most of the archers are pretty similar. They use all three variants of the elemental railbows. For Sarah, over here, healer, healer, caster. Vandal Hearts 1 was pretty simple with all that. Vandal Hearts 2 was also requested, but I didn't have time to get to it, and it also was a game that I wasn't terribly familiar with, plus also had mechanics I wasn't terribly familiar with. So, ultimately, I think it was, Actually, wait a minute, do I even have Chrono Trigger on this team? Because that's... I don't know, what happened to the Chrono Trigger team? I know I had one. Hang on. I think I might have forgotten one. We'll find out. We'll find out. Anyway, I'll figure that out before the next round. Alright, so there's that one. And then they are versus... what's it? Breath of Fire? Breath of Fire. Okay, so that's down here. Let's see, with Ahmad, what is your favorite class? Here's Ninja with Warrior and Leon. Let's see. I'd say, let's see, probably the Buccaneer. Well, maybe the... we'll see. Hang on, just a sec. Let me go over this team real quick so that we can get that fight started. So, Ryu here, with a bunch of his kind of, like, fire-related dragon abilities and all that. With Fandango, Power Fist, Hellforge, Inferno Ring, and all that. Bunch of magic-y type stuff with Instill Fire. Got a bunch of his abilities from the game, including Supernova for his dragon move. For Nina, we have this right here. Figured, robes and high boots seemed pretty appropriate for her. Got her healing abilities. I just noticed I forgot to equip some of them. Whoops. Alright, we might have to fix that. Anyway, Momo here's a Fusilier. Got this thing right here, some kind of big boom move. I don't remember exactly what she did. Pico with his moves right here. Again, this is one of those kind of squint and you'll see it kind of things. Ray with his double knives. Got Tipo here. Hopefully all this stuff looks relatively similar. And then we got Gar, the spear guy. And there we go. So hopefully that all roughly matches. Alright, now, favorite classes. Okay. Probably my favorite is actually the warrior with a spear. It's like the warrior with a pike. I just always end up using those every single time. Absolutely love the fact that they can use them. It's been my favorite character in pretty much all the games. Second favorite, probably the Buccaneer, because they've gotten really, really competent. As in, they can actually pull off a pistol and sword build, as they were actually originally meant to. They were the only ones that they could do that before. And yeah, for some reason originally they couldn't. But anyway, what else? Third favorite, probably Knights, just because Aegis is really good, and they can also use spears. So, I guess that about sums that up. But there's a bunch of them. Like, honestly, probably first place as like an honorary mention is just Warlocks. Just because, man, they can do so much now. They're the ultimate sport class. They've got that pushback ability. You can go all offensive with them. Give them a whip. Give them a bunch of really strong draconic stuff. You can go sword and board with them. They're the only class that can double push in one turn. Like, you can just like run up and just like shield bash and then just mind blast right off a cliff. It's great. So you should get a warrior with a spear and double attack sounds. It's really good. It's really good. Like it's like double attack pikes are very, very strong. There's a reason they got buffed, or they got nerfed all the way up to 100 TP to use double attack. Man, that crap is strong. It's real strong. Also, can I have more coffee beans? So, eating for a sec. But okay, so one unit that I've had in every run lately, and actually one of the ones that's it's making me look forward to that Spartan % run, is yeah, I would always have one guy with a heavy pike and double attack and or vigorous. Just keep him around to the side. Like, he doesn't directly attack. The front line moves up, they do their thing, they do their damage. He circles around to the side and he just like wipes. It's like wipes away, they just had a Tetris moment, they're just gone. Next one runs up, front line does whatever damage they can. Casters go in, archers go and distract the healing elements to go do somewhere else. Guy with the pike comes around the side, just, you know, Tetris again. It's great. It's great. Like, especially on the Bratton fight, man. Like, just that's probably the easiest best example. Because they'll just keep sending Terranites down. Just over and over and over. And you can have like 4 or 5 times in a row where just Pike Guy comes in and just wrecks everybody. Alright, so, between these two teams, let's see. I kinda want Vandal Hearts to win, but I think Breath of Fire 3's got more abilities on their side. So Vandal Hearts has more attacks for sure. They don't really have any recovery. I don't remember why Nina doesn't have Divine Magic equipped. She should have that. Although the fact that she's oh, I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. She was refusing to use any of the song moves. No, that wasn't it, because I still would have had her with the healing ability. That might just be my bad. It might just be my bad. They might be a little bit weaker than they should. But that's fine. Like, honestly, at first glance, it always seems like healers are overpowered in the mod. But you have to realize that heavy attackers can still easily outdamage them. In that respect, it's really, like, it's not, they're not as good as they originally seem. Like, you can't really rely on them. Once you get down to it, you can just go without healers entirely. The last few runs now have gone almost entirely without healers. Like, I think the speed run had Aegis for healing, and then the luck % run, I think there was like 3 battles that used items, but then aside from that, it was just overpowering the right place at the right time. It almost becomes an XCOM-like thing. Like, where, you know, you have a couple guys with medkits, but realistically, you never want to get into a position where they have to be used. But yeah. So, as Rakes put it one time, like, yeah, they can, healers can recover a lot of things, but, it turns out the best status condition is dead. It was something like that. It was worded differently, but it's like, yeah, the best debuff is death. So, if you focus everything down well enough, it's just usually when folks are going in, they're expecting to do like the whole thing, like, oh, you attack, you go do other stuff, you just keep on letting them win that fight, instead of like, okay, we completely surround this guy, just like shank him real good, just reenact some Game of Thrones on him, and yeah, nobody's coming to put him back up on his feet. See, healers are OP against the AI because the AI is bad at setting up focus skill zones. Yeah, and that's another thing that he's mentioned, you know, wanting to try and improve the AI at some point. The AI is just not very good. Let's be blunt. In fact, a lot of the game, looking deep into the mechanics of vanilla and all that, a lot of the game was entirely built around trying to get around their bad AI. Like, the fact that so many units used stun and leaden and all these other moves that just mostly got in your way more than anything else, seemed to be there for the sake of just delaying your guys so the AI could finally figure out how to do something competent. And if it wasn't for overpowered archers and ninjas, they probably would be a lot more threatening. Like, if you ever do a run without archers and ninjas, there are those moments where the game just feels legitimately, like, shacked completely against you and all that kind of thing. Just because, you know, you specifically have to use specific attacks and specific things, and then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, my Dragoon is stunned. I couldn't afford to have a second one because then I wouldn't have, you know, enough, like, overall squad viability to take care of this other stuff, so I need, you know, a couple Exorcists because I'm expecting one to die. You know, the scrolls ran out 5 floors ago. The Dragoon over there just got wiped out, so we don't have anybody to go take care of that dragon. Like, it's that kind of stuff, where it just instantly went from there's no threat here whatsoever to, you know, we just lost an Iron Man run, Which is exactly what happened on that 200-hour run, that everything was going all well and good up until floor 83 of the Palace of the Dead. So I was basically skipping the Nibith fight to go straight to Coda. Well, I already forgot about the Coda fight, or forgot about Nibith entirely. I was just going straight through Coda. So got to 83, and so you fight Candace there, and she's got a unique move, well, semi-unique. She's got one of the end boss moves called Radius. So she spent several turns running up, trying to get hit a couple times, and unfortunately, I had a bunch of archers fire at her. Limitation on the run was basically 3 archers. Well, 2 archers and 1 ranger, just because the ranger, you know, at least he can do something. So, alright. So fair enough. They take all their shots, and she winds up with 1 HP. She runs up, uses Radius on the entire party. They all end up, like, both the Exorcists end up getting completely wiped. Dragoon is, one of the Dragoons is wiped, and then one of them is left in critical. So he gets a shot off, takes care of a zombie dragon, but it's just gonna come right back. All the scrolls and stuff had run out, and the only guy that was left was a Necromancer as kind of the 3rd Exorcist. So he tried. Ultimately, he ended up taking an arrow and going down too, but he ends up, you know, exercising a couple units. But there's still like 5 skeletons that just keep coming up, and even with the archers almost one-shotting them, it didn't really matter because they just kept coming right back up, and ultimately that run ended up failing with 1 skeleton still left sitting there in critical, because then I'm bled out. So I ended up going, you know, just finishing it without the Iron Man roll set because it was right at the very end. But basically the way that the route goes for an Iron Man run is just you need to have Bison Cashwa in your party. You need to have the Zenobian survive. You basically go through Palace of the Dead in Coda, or rather, you go through Coda 1 and then Coda 2. You go through Palace of the Dead to floor 83, beat Candace, then you go to do the rest of the Coda chapters that are just all like right next to each other. You save lands, or rather, you save Warren, you save lands, and then you go fight all the 12 bosses. So the jacked up part about that is, by the way, that even despite being a Iron Man run, there's one part of the game that you, technically speaking, always have to just kind of, you know, have a house rule for allowing a mulligan, because whoever designed the friggin' Warren fight, I don't know what they were thinking. There is a chance that he can die before you can even get a turn, because somebody decided, hey, you know what's a great idea? We're gonna recreate the last boss. We're gonna give you doppelgangers, and we're gonna set up a character who is very squishy, and he's going to start right next to their entire mob. So if you have more than 1 bow user, there's literally nothing that can be done. He will just be dead. If you've got a couple melee characters, you've got maybe 2 turns to beat the boss before anything happens. So ultimately what it turns into is just using Paradigm Shift on Canopus a couple times to make sure that he can go take several shots over on the boss. Because he only takes like 3 shots, but still, like, that, what is that? Why would you do that? Like, any time that they just almost explicitly required Paradigm Shift is kind of bullcrap. Let's see. How do you trigger the boss before the Pirate's Graveyard? Gonna have to be more specific from that. Do you mean the let's see, there's one during, there's one during the Uria side quest, there's another one during, Azelston, and then I believe there's just one rando that shows up after both. Which one do you mean? It's like Azelston's thing, you have to do like 6 different story triggers. Let's see, you have to save him in that one fight where they're 7 levels higher than you, which is bullcrap, but whatever. That was balanced for a completely different version. Also, let's take a quick look at the scores here. Wow, okay. So it seems like Breath of Fire is doing a real good job, actually. Anyway, back to the fight. Because yeah, that Azelston one, let's see, you gotta save Azelston, then you gotta read his story, then you gotta read his other version of the story, because you read the Warren Report to say that he exists. Or no, you read the news to say that he exists. You go to the Warren Report to find out that he also exists. You go to the town, you save him. You read about his backstory while he's in his kind of like shadow mode in the story. You read about the news again, then you go to the Pirate's Graveyard, then you leave, then you go, what is it? Then I believe you go and you fight the Northern Invasion bit and all that. You come back, you save him again, you go to the Pirate's Graveyard, save him, or no, you go to the Pirate's Graveyard again, Then you leave and go to Quadriga. Denim likes some flowers, and then after that you go to, I believe you go to have another cutscene over in the Pirates, or rather over in Pirate Town, and then you go into the graveyard again. Then you save him in one fight, then you save him in another fight, and then he finally frickin' joins you, and then you have a one-time chance to go down to the boss, who will once again be over-leveled, and then has the units in that fight have a chance to drop Buccaneer marks, which is some serious bullcrap, and then you have a choice on whether or not to rob a box. Robbing the box will give you an extra Buccaneer mark for Denim or Canopus, and then not robbing it will give you some nice warm happy feelings, I guess, as well as not losing some Chaos Frame, as if anyone cared about that. Let's see, maybe we forgot some stuff. Mentazelston? Yeah, I would seriously recommend just looking at a guide, because there's way too many steps to that one. Way, way, way too many steps. It's kind of stupid. Like, all the DLC characters have a very dumb amount of steps getting them. Like, to say that it's ridiculous is an understatement. Like, I mean, what I was saying earlier about all those different steps, that was, like, almost verbatim what you have to do. And you have to do them at the exact right times, because if you end up taking one battle too many, he will just be dead. You miss one cutscene, he won't join you. You miss one fight, he'll be dead. You forget to look at some flowers, he won't join you. Like, it's... They tried real hard to do this whole thing of, oh, you know, they're going to be traveling all along the map. They'll accidentally go to Goliath at some point, or... Actually, I think you have to go to Quadriga. Yeah, you gotta go to Quadriga of all places. There's no reason to go to Quadriga. There's nothing down there. So, like, he literally won't join you if you don't go there, and then Denim decides to go stroll in the port for some reason. It's like, oh man, who left these flowers here? And they're like, oh, some, like, snazzy pirate guy shows up, and he leaves some flowers for all the dead people. What a good guy. And then you go back to visit his, you know, alcoholic self back in Pirate Town, and he's like, oh man, I'm super drunk. It sure sucks babies die. And then a child gets friggin' crossbowed. Yes, I'm not even kidding. Yeah, he odds are, if you didn't know ahead of time, he is dead in your campaign. It's pretty dumb. Alright, you know what? Actually, Vandal Hearts is making a comeback here. Little by little, they're making a comeback. They're really weak, though. They've only got 2 healers that are currently in good shape. I do think I have to redo the Breath of Fire team to fix Nina, though. Because she should be doing more healing. What's this? Well, thank you for bringing it. Are you saying you gotta go potty? Okay, no problem. Let's go do that. I will be right back. Alright, so, Sorry for leaving it on the stutter screen again. So let's see. To be fair, if you read the in-game notes and journals, they do hint that you should go to Quadriga. Yeah, it's a really subtle hint though. Like you read some of them, they're like somebody's leaving flowers at Quadriga, but I think they overestimated really strongly how much willingness people had to go through all the Warren report and everything. Because like yeah, the hints are there. But the problem is, a lot of the time, like, what they should have done is they should have had a little, like, maybe notification or something that popped up. Like, maybe you could turn it on and off. That said, like, okay, you know, there's news, or there's, you know, there's some new stuff here, except maybe, like, actually have it show up on the UI. Because that's the thing, they say that it's new. Like, if you go into the report, or you go into the names themselves, right? But they never, like, unless you specifically go there, you're never going to see it. And even when you're specifically looking for a character, odds are you're going to forget to go through the report and go through the journal entries every time. Like, so many times I've had the intent of going and getting Ravenous and all that. And you run through the map where you need to go get her, but the thing is, if you haven't read the report, she's not going to spawn. So, that's the thing, like, if they still had the events without having to read those notices, it would have been a lot more reasonable if they had the the little notice come up on the UI, like, there's new crap here, go take a look. You know, like, maybe had the symbol glow, or maybe had, like, a little thingy that popped up on the top right of, like, you know, there's new reports, or new people, or maybe, I don't know, maybe something a little bit less obstructive, but it was, I don't know. It's like, when you specifically are looking for it, and you can't find it, that's some iffy design there. But again, I just want to clarify, like, it's a miracle that they got as much stuff in as they did. Like, granted, it wasn't all super elegant, but it's just, this game should never have been so good. And I've actually found out later, I was talking to Mr. Bowles about it, and apparently, Matsuno had actually had some friends at Square and all that, and they had basically pulled some strings to make this game even happen. So apparently they all just respected him a whole bunch, and he's like, well, I want to make the legacy game, you know, I want to make sure that we have something that we can point to and be like, yeah, this is what we can do, and that's what happened here. That's why it's so good. That's why it's so absurdly polished, especially for how much content there is. Like, again, the Archer and Ninja thing might have been an intentional choice, because when you get to endgame, it gets to the point where, yeah, there are a lot of units that are very specific for specific uses. And it seems like the balance that they wanted for archers was less like a historic archer, more of like a Dark Souls, like Anor Londo archer. Like, where it's just like, okay, they fire crazy hard, but they're really slow, and they've got a bad dead zone, that kind of thing. And usually that won't matter. Especially if you got like the Jiggler set on something. Like, if you've got Jiggler, that's it. You got artillery. You don't even have an archer anymore by that point. But then, I mean, that seems to be the main balance they were going for. It's weird that they decided to go with the same route with Fusiliers. Because with Fusiliers, it's the same thing where they're just even slower, but they do less damage. Let's see. Yeah, I've had everyone at one point, but remembering all the steps hurts my brain. Yeah. That's why I just started going for more immersion runs. Like, there's maybe one run where I've actually gotten Oshone. Just because the steps to get her are really annoying. Like, if you didn't know, like, Oshone, she's that one not Swordmaster, she's that one Dragoner that refuses to join you at the end of Law. Because yeah, you have to have completed all of Yunan's side story in order to be able to unlock her at all. Not to mention, there's also Chaos Frame requirement. So, for example, if you had your Walser units at the very start of the game, if you kept them, odds are you didn't. There's no way that you got it. Like, if you used them and you kept them, you probably didn't get it. However, if you had if you had a bunch of Galaxani that you hired and you repeatedly saved them over several fights, and like they went down and you retreated, or you got them back up on their feet, or you, like, basically every time that you treated them well, the Galaxani were like, okay, you know, they're okay. However, you had to keep a different group around in order to fight the actual Galaxani units, so presumably that's what Canopus was so overpowered for, because then you don't get as many reputation drops because you're not using generics. I should take a step back here. if you've ever wondered why it is that you've ever done a generic run, and presumably you kept your first 5 generics, why your reputation was so sucky throughout most of it, it's because you basically were having the Wallister go kill off all the Galaxistanis. They're gonna hate you. All the Wallister killing off all the backroom, they suddenly hate you. So your reputation with all of them suck, while your Wallister one was really good. However, if you had like Bakram fighting Galistani or Galistani fighting Bakram, that kind of thing, and you just kind of like smudged it around everywhere, and you made sure to save groups that weren't your own, you ended up having a much better reputation with them. Which is why, for example, I had the very first eval run that I did of this whole thing, when I got the Fire Crest, it was this weird thing where my reputation with the Bakram was so much higher than everybody else, and that's exactly why. I ended up losing almost everybody on my very first run of that particular save file. So basically all the Wallister guys were just completely deserting the entire time, and I got some new ones, which were a bunch of like Zenobians and Bakram and all that kind of thing, so reputation ended up being higher. That whole system is really underutilized, so I hope whenever the quote-unquote hard mode version of this mod comes out, I'm really hoping that there's going to be something along the lines of maybe, 5 or 6 times penalties as far as reputation goes, like maybe have more desertion going on, because it's a cool mechanic. It's just, it never ever comes up. You gotta... The only time I ever saw desertions, and I've mentioned this before, was when I was doing a no-skill run. It was actually on that same save file. And people's loyalty kept dropping because they were getting knocked out most of the time. There was no chance to get a lot of them back, so there was just this constant cycling of units, and people were dropping like flies. So that's just kind of how it went. Like, it took losing people almost every single fight for the entire game. They only started deserting around Chapter 4. It was kind of ridiculous. Not to mention, I kept making them fight their own dudes and everything. So, like, if you have Galistani fighting Galistani, your reputation drops with them, because they don't like that crap. So, anywho, let's see, that's why I lost my first octopus, having them kill the wrong people. Don't you just hate it when your octopus deserts? Usually it entrees. Fancy food jokes, fancy food jokes. Also, this fight has been going on forever. Who's even winning it? Man. Alright, let's see here. So, Vandal Hearts still standing, Breath of Fire 3 still standing, but yeah, they're... I mean, I guess it could still technically go either way. I mean, there was that one earlier that would have easily gone to FFT, but then they had one move go wrong for them. Preach. Gotta preach them seafood puns, is that what we're talking about? Man, was having a discussion with my brother earlier, because it turns out, like, one of the teachers at the school that he went to showed up on the news for beating a student. He was surprised that he was still there. I was just saying, like, man, I had that nun at my school to beat somebody with a book. You got a couple students at your school that did this kind of stuff. Like, man, we need to get them all together as a wrestling team. Just like call them the Scrivener's Beatdown or something. Just have them all come in with like books and rulers and chairs. Just like coming in like with all the fireworks in the background and everything. Just like have some like schools out for summer playing as their theme. That would have been great. It's like the wrestling career is available for teachers that get kicked out for abusing students. I mean, I could see that working. Like, unironically, I could see that, or non-jokingly, I could see that happening as a career path, because they always need bad guys, and you know who better? Just to get some like really out of shape, like just like pudgy math teacher in there. Just suddenly start fighting somebody with a steel ruler. That'd be great. I mean, I'd watch that. I don't even watch wrestling. I see clips of it every now and then, but honestly, that's enough. I mean, my brother and I used to watch it all the time. It was great. See, with t-shirts that say, stay in school or else. Just has them with, like, a decapitated head and a ruler. Yeah, I could see that. Hang on. I had a really good name for them earlier. What the hell was it here? This is my telephone. Oh yeah, so they were a social studies teacher, so let's see, it was the social smackdown. Oh, the nun that got kicked out for beating somebody with the Bible, holy wrath. Apparently the other one was a biology teacher, so I was saying they need to call him Walter White. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Let's see it. Let's see it. Although, then again, most of the people that were from our schools as kids have either gotten, well, have pretty much gotten removed under disgraceful means. Like the priest that used to run my Catholic school turns out was kind of touching kids, so yeah, that's a real shocker. Does explain why the dude wanted hugs all the time from pretty much everybody. Not even surprised. Man, this is still going. They're in it. Like, they're in it. I think Vandal Hearts might still pull it out. Alright, they're down to, I think it's like a 4v2 now. Let's see here. Because, yeah, is that Tipo there, the big dude? Or Pico? Yeah, we got Pico and Gar, which makes sense. I think they were the two strongest of the team. They're still in it! They've got the one healer keeping one character healed at all times. I don't think they can do it, but man, I'd love to see it come back here. I wish there were more maps with crazy drops and everything. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome, but they specifically only chose enough maps for each of the cards. Which, okay, fair enough. It's still way more maps than anybody probably expected. Like, realistically, what I would have expected from a multiplayer version of this is that one map, like the shop map that used to be the default fight map in the original Palace of the Dead. Like, if anything, I would have expected it to be that one, because it is a battle map. You do fight a Heaven General on one of them. But, like, if anything, that's like the only true arena map in the game that comes to mind. So I could have seen that. Who knows? Who knows? So I think after this we might have time for one more before the lunch break, and then we'll go at that point. I just wasn't expecting this one to go nearly as long. These guys have so much recovery. Oh, he's got Gorge and Lock, though. I forgot about that. I could keep him around for one more turn. Oh, I probably should have used that earlier. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Vandal Hearts has this one. I'm going to go ahead and mark it preemptively. So let's start taking requests for the next fight here. Where are you, Breath of Fire? There we go. You tried, but you got burned. Har har. Alright. So, taking requests. Out of the green teams, who fights who? Yeah, otherwise, the next fight will be Merchant of the Black Queen versus Lord of the Rings. Which, personally, I would say that goes very strongly to Merchant of the Black Queen, but we'll see. We'll see. Game of Thrones versus anybody? How about Game of Thrones versus Lord of the Rings? That actually might be a pretty solid match. Oh yeah, I forgot he can use items. Although, yeah, their main hitter's down, so... That's it. Come on, wrap it up. Wrap it up. Need that wrap it up box from the old, old Chappelle skits. For all them old people that remember all those olden things. There we go. Keep on shanking. Fittingly, Ash is the one to get the final blow. Sounds dope. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I think the actual most overpowered unit is actually Frodo for Lord of the Rings, but actually no, it's definitely Legolas. But I just mean equipment-wise, I think the score counted Frodo as the highest because he's technically got 2 legendaries on him, or 2 uniques. All right, so we got what is it here? We got Lord of the Rings. So here's the team. I got Legolas with the Jiggler set and the Cloud Ring because you know this is his set. Like, he is the best archer by far. See, do Game of Thrones people stab each other in the back or stab their sisters in other ways? Both. Both, all the time. So yeah, Jiggler set, of course. Got double shot, tremendous shot, and bow skills because yeah, this dude is like the ultimate archer ever. Got Aragorn here with you know, basically the Excalibur with Speed Star on it for the sake of that whole big charge they do at the very end. Pretty standard armor, no weapon skills, but parry and siege. Got Boromir here with the ability to die real good. We got Gimli here with the with his axe and berserk and last resort and overpower and bash and counter hit and all that. Got Gandalf here with all of his light abilities, doing all that awesome lighty type stuff. We got Frodo here with Iceberg and Vibrant Mail for the mithril stuff that he gets. City Ring, because it gives him the ability to warp, kind of. I mean, he turns invisible and then pops up somewhere else, so close enough. And then we got Sam here. He's all strong and jumpy and everything, so we got Scout Leg, Scout Vest for that extra movement. Silverbrand, just standard old sword there for him. And okay, let's go get the Game of Thrones team in here. Still can't believe I'm somehow missing some teams. So, we got the Hound and the Mountain. Basically, Clegane and Bowl decided to team up. Snow here with Ice Sword instead of the Long Claw. Figured it made sense. Dark Coat, Seal of Vigor, he's been around a while. He augments Ice, because I figure why not. Yep, Stab. They're talking about the sex. Alright, Counter Hat, Tactician, Squash, you know, Double Strike Vigorous feels like a pretty good setup for him. Jorah coming in with Rally, gets rid of Fear and Stun. Comes in with Steadfast and Stone Ward for the sake of story reference. Comes in with Parry and all that. He's got pretty decent armor. Pretty standard sword. I actually just found out right after making this that he actually gets a fancier sword now, but whatever. He's got his old standard, because he had a pretty standard one. Tyrion with his Lannister set here, because it looks very similar to that. Spiked Shield, because, you know, he's always got a response for everything. And, yeah, Pumpkin Bomb, Pumpkin Pie. Pumpkin Bomb for the, you know, that one episode with all the explodey type stuff. The Pie, because he likes to share snacks in pretty much all of the earlier seasons. Field Alchemy, because of course. I've got Jaime in here with the Power Fist and a slightly fancier sword. Some golden armor, and a ring that lets him walk on water, because of that boat scene. Parry, Overpower, Fear Ward, Daggers, because he's clearly pretty accurate with those, but he doesn't end up using one right now, because he's got a Metal Hand instead. Counter Hit, Bash, all that kind of business. We've got Brienne here as a Dragoon, with a fancier sword, standard kind of armor that she comes with. She gets upgraded stuff later. Skill-wise, Parry, Overpower, Stop Ward, Counter Hit, Fate-nology, because she probably learned a bit about ghosts after that one part. Danny with Empowered Dragon and a few abilities to improve dragons. This thing for the sake of ordering the dragon to burn something. And it's apparently raining. Bunch of dragon stuff, because of course. An Inferno Ring, which lets her walk on fire. So we got all that stuff. Got Melisandre here with the ability to bring back the dead. I don't know how that's actually going to work out. I haven't tested that one. So a bunch of buffs, a bunch of abilities that she seems to show the ability to use. Yeah, it seemed fitting to have him as a Pumpkinhead. I know it's mean. It's mean. I had I had the Hobbits and Tyrion as Pumpkinheads. It's an option now. I'm sorry. Anyway, so she's got her poison abilities, all that kind of thing. All that's allusions to different stuff in the story. These guys' representations turned out pretty alright. Arya here with her parry build is, you know, pretty darn good. Had to have a face mask, because of course. All this stuff will probably make sense if you've seen the show, otherwise it'll look random as hell. Bronn here, because he's my favorite character. The sword and his kukri looking thing. Evasion and accuracy type setup. He's really good at surviving despite not having a shield or helmet. And then you got Viserion, because you gotta have it here. So alright, there we go. And he can speed himself up, because of course. Now, I'm assuming this team's gonna win. Like, I'm assuming they got this one. This seems like it should be pretty freaking one-sided, is all I'm saying. So we'll see how it goes. And while this is going, I'm actually gonna be right back. I gotta go, you know, do the rounds, as it were. And of course, they have to fight on the wall. So, we're in the snowy castle here. But alright. Let's see, I think they call him way worse in the books. Pumpkinhead is possible. Yeah, no, the dude's got some nicknames, and he's got the whole shaved off head or shaved off nose in the books. So Yeah, he's having a hard time over there. I mean, the guy still gets plenty of action, but still. Actually, wait, let's automate skill messages real quick, because I'm going to go double check all that. And unfortunately, Arya's getting popped in the face right off the start. I don't think the one archer's going to make the difference. Well, I suppose we'll see. But, you know, it goes as goes, right? Anyway, so I'll let this, let's see, the books aren't friendly to him at all. Yeah, lately the show hasn't been either. He's just having a bad time overall. Anyway, so I'm gonna go make the rounds real quick, so I'll be right back, and see you soon. That's the wrong one. There we go. That's the right one. Alright, I'm back. So I should mention, it's actually a handy little double reference that happened. Because, hang on, let me bring it up right here. It'll be up in just a moment. Well, yeah, this right here. So this thing worked out as a convenient double reference, because A, it looks just like that kukri thing he always has on his belt. And B, the fact that it allows for Firestorm 4. So yeah, you probably know what that's a reference to. You know, the scene with the boats? That, like, one arrow that takes out, like, 20 boats at once or whatever. So that was neat. That was a neat one. Yeah. I don't really see how the Lord of the Rings team has a chance on this one, but we'll find out. We'll see. We'll see. All things in time, right? Yeah. For that matter, I don't know what Fred was doing, like, way up in the front lines there. He's set to be in rear guard. Or no, that's Tyrion up there. Okay. He's in Vanguard because he got assigned to the Vanguard. Yeah, no, the other ones are set to rear guard. Yeah, Battle of Blackwater, exactly. See, have you ever done an AI only run of the story? No, I've been planning it though. That's one that I've planned several times now, and I actually went through vanilla that way. It's kind of in my own time and all that kind of thing. And in vanilla, it was a bit easy because you just turn everyone into archers. So it would be a really interesting one for One Vision. I've been trying to think of how to route it all out, but I think it's possible. I think it's actually possible. So yeah, that's on the list right now. Because like I think I started talking about it like half a year ago. I was like, yeah, this seems like a fun idea. This seems like a fun idea, and then that was kind of before before the defense rebalance. So you could still get away with it, just like massing archers and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Like, basically what you do is you just adjust their AI tendencies for what you want them to do. So, like, if you want them to back off, you switch them over to rear guard. If you want them to kind of hold the line, as it were, you have them as vanguard. The funny part is, it changes it in such a way to where there's some abilities that they won't use, unfortunately, but by and large, you get to see some pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, by the way, if you're wondering why Danny has the Ember Wake there, So I mentioned that the usability is kind of meant to be akin to her ordering somebody to be set on fire, which happens several times. But the other thing is just it kind of looks like that flail thing that she gets. Oof. Okay. Oh, hang on. One quick second here. Gonna go check on something. Alright, and back. Man. Alright, what have I missed here? How's this fight holding up? Yeah, they're definitely winning it. They don't really have that much in terms of recovery options, but yeah. They just got the numbers here. So what's that? 9 left to 2 here? About Frodo. Oh, what's that? He's got Pain Aura, really? Where the hell did he get Pain Aura from? Wow. Yeah, he's having a real bad day. They just really didn't like Frodo. Alright, then yeah, Viserian's still holding up pretty darn well. It seems like the rest of the team's doing pretty alright. Oof. Man, he had a real bad day. Wait a minute. Viserian's on the other team, right. Derp, derp, derp. A dragon on the other team that's doing real well is holding up great. Yeah, okay. Way to go, smartness. Also, I forgot to turn this back on. So, alright, there we go. Let's, where is it? Lord of the Rings, yeah, you get your yellow mark, your, you tried mark. Bam. There we go. Pop this back out. So, that basically leaves, yeah, Sauron Rectum. Exactly. The White Walkers won. They were secretly Sauron the entire time. So, alright, that leaves all this stuff for next time. Well, next time will be in like an hour or so. So I'm gonna go get lunch made and all that kind of business. And yeah, so we'll be back for the next phase of it right after that. And you know what? Screw it, might as well just do it tomorrow as well. So we'll be back at that point. All right, see you then. And hang on, where's that end button? Here it is. Here it is. Okay. So thank you guys for stopping by. I will see you very soon here. And have yourselves a good one. See you soon. I will very much enjoy lunch. And gonna go make some tacos or some such. Stuff's delicious. Alright, so see you then. Take care. See you soon.